Hey y'all.
You're,
Can you guys hear this?
yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
But no, hold on. Can you hear this?
No, I just heard a boop, like a doo doo. Y'all like
Damn, I
that?
try to I try to do the Little Wayne the lighter flicker thing. You can't hear it?
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know
I
what
hear it
that
now. I hear
was.
it now. I hear it now. I was like, what was that? But I hear it now.
Damn, how he do that? I need a state of the art mic to make that happen. I
Yeah,
need
that
that.
nigga was in A-list studios doing that shit.
Hey, listen, I'm talking about the mic cost 3K alone, not even a wire included, okay?
That nigga was in Westlake doing that shit. Doing that shit.
Listen.
Hey, what's the craziest place you ever smoked weed? Like, people wouldn't believe you smoked weed there.
Ah, damn. Honestly, because I'm type of like a scaredy cat in a way, like I don't be wanting to like I'm a very mindful, demure kind of, connoisseur of the
Mm-hmm.
ganja. So I don't really smoke in places where it's kind of like hot in that sense, you know what I'm saying? Like it's too mixy or too many people or whatever. But I was involved in a situation where I was on a PJ. I'm not gonna say nobody's names or any names, but I
Mm-hmm.
was on a PJ, and the niggas that was on the PJ at that time was smoking weed. They was rappers, they was famous, they was
But you
able to
could do
do
that,
that.
right? Or you gotta like put
I
extra stuff.
don't know, girl,
Oh,
because
okay.
my whole thought process is we are in the air.
Yeah, I was gonna say you cannot smoke on a plane, girl.
I don't think you
Like even the
can.
well, I know the commercial ones, but even the PJ you can't smoke on.
I don't think so. I
I don't
really
think you're
don't think
supposed
so.
to.
I
Mm.
really don't. But yeah, that was. I wasn't dating a rapper, by the way, because I do not date rappers. For a very big disclaimer, I do not date no goddamn rappers. But that was definitely an experience to see somebody else do it. I was like, "Oh, you brave." I would never, because I would just think the plane would blow up for some reason. But yeah,
John, you ever smoked anywhere like type crazy or something that like nobody would believe? Like, hey, yeah, you really smoked weed there. Like,
I'm gonna
y'all
sound like a
don't.
real loser, but I don't smoke.
I know. I was gonna say y'all
I'm just
don't
saying.
give me like she smoke vibes.
Y'all
You
give
know.
me like if it's a long day and somebody got it, she might take a pull, but like it really
No,
is
because I
like,
used to in college, and that shit used to make me hella paranoid. So I was just like, you
I
know
knew she
what,
was
ooh,
gonna say
okay.
that. I knew
this
she
is
was gonna
not for
say that
me.
because everybody always says the same thing. It's like you get paranoid. I'm like, who y'all smoking with, and what are y'all smoking?
Word.
Is it K2? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. But what's up, y'all? Shout out to the listeners that's in the room. What's good, Ron, Brandon, Grind, Jacquel, Preet. Preet, 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 preet.
Yeah, I'm about to retweet it out. But invite a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. Because we definitely finna get into some things. Y'all cool if I just moderate for this one? I mean, I'm gonna throw in my two piece, but like I'm really excited
I'm
about this
not
one.
gonna lie, I would love if you moderated because I remember you did something like this with me for the African music when we launched that station.
Oh yeah,
And it was
yeah.
like topic to topic to topic, and I think you handled it like amazingly. So
You know
yes.
how I feel about Miss Kia Kia.
Shout out to all my niggas in the building. Ah, one time.
I,
Um,
I,
I need some sound effects.
we gotta get a soundboard, an
Yeah,
official
I really.
soundboard.
Or is there a way we can talk about this later? But I need to find a way to like download it where you know how like Joe Budden just be pressing the keys and it's just there, like it's there. I need that. I need that energy. But yo, what up? What up? I'm like, what's up? um, what's up, everybody? My name is Kia. I'm here with my sisters Jan and Milan. This is our apartment, our space. It's called Reasonable Dialogue. Today we are going to get into quarter one through quarter three. We're going to tap into everything that has happened really the first 3 quarters of the year because now we're in our final stretch. We believe that Cat Williams has opened a portal to hell, and we honestly need him
We
to
haven't
close it.
escaped. We have not escaped. We must come out. We have
We
not
must.
escaped.
Why are you running? Why are you running? That's my mood. um, so we're not going to get into things in order. Only because, like, if y'all really think I was keeping track of this whole year in order, or that any of us up here was keeping track of this whole year in order, you're bugged the fuck out. But we did write down the things that we felt like were important. Of course, we always open up the floor for you guys to come up. We just ask that you guys are respectful to not only each other but also to us. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it because I want to get to this. So should we start with the dark stuff first, or do you guys want to start with something more lighthearted? Do you guys want to start with Cat Williams? Like, what do you guys want to, what energy wise?
High key, feel like we should start with Cat Williams because I feel like he kind of started all of this shit.
Right. I was gonna say the same thing. Just cause it's cause of him and goddamn Uncle Netta that was
Ooh,
literally
Uncle, not Uncle Joe.
literally literally is his fault. Literally is his fault.
So I don't remember the exact day that Cat dropped it. I just remember it was in January, I believe. But it was like the first week of January. It's like the first week or second week of January. Um, and I don't even remember the first clip I saw because I didn't watch it in full first. It was just clip after clip after clip on my timeline. But I think it was when he was talking about Cedric the Entertainer and everybody
Hmm.
kind of stealing his jokes and shit like that. But then when I watched it in full, I was like, oh, oh, this nigga talking. So
Three hours of talk.
3 hours of it. So what is like? I mean, I know we all jokingly say that Cat Williams opened up the portal to hell, but like, I feel like there was a real reason. Like, there was a real energy shift with that interview. I don't know if it was just me, but I really do feel like he kind of just said, "Hey, there's some shit going on, and I need niggas to talk about it."
And you were actually spot on. It did drop January 3rd. So 3 days in this brand new hoe, Cat Williams interview dropped, and the world hasn't been the same since.
He was on Lil Uzi time. He said, "This is my third day out here, but I'm finna cause hell." What was one of the moments in the interview that stuck out to you guys?
Well, I won't even say the moment, but to the first thing you had initially said, as far as just like you feel like there was an energy around it, I kind of agree with that, and I feel like it started well before he put that interview out. I kind of feel like all the changes within the industry that were happening, as far as like with the layoffs, over the last 2 years, I think kind of put everybody in this uneasy place where it's like we trying to see what is what. And I don't think anybody was really saying what was what for a long time until he finally just came out with like, here's a whole lot of shit that I know about, and I'm gonna put names on it, and boom, let's go from there.
Bombs over Baghdad.
And then it was
Hey,
just
hey,
like ever since he did that,
hey.
it was just like everybody had smoke with everybody, and we're here now.
No,
I
I agree. Yeah, go ahead, Kia.
No, I was gonna say I will say the one thing I loved about Kat's interview was just that it brought me back to a time in pop culture. And I just want to shout out we have Majesty Rhea in here. And I love your tweets. I
Bum, bum,
love the
bum,
commentary that you give on the
bum.
timeline.
Legend,
One of the
legend,
people that
legend.
I honestly listen to when they pop up on the timeline, for real, because there's a lot of y'all I can't listen to, but I definitely listen to you, love. So thank you so much for all you contribute to the the Twitter culture. Um, but it took me back to a time of like I want to say you remember in the like 90s and 2000s when you used to get like those celebrity interviews that just like how did we allow this to air on TV?
Oh my
Like
gosh,
that's really what the
yes.
Cat Williams interview reminded me of. Like how did we allow this man to just go
Like
on the radio?
Whitney and Wendy arguing on the
Yes.
radio.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. It
yeah.
took me to that time and I think it's crazy because I remember last year, me and my friends used to joke that we needed to bring the tunnel energy back. I'm not sure how many of y'all are familiar with the tunnel, but it's a famous nightclub that was in New York in the 90s. Well, it was really in the 80s too, but it gained its notoriety in the 90s and 2000s as like a hip hop club, even though it started off with like house music and stuff. Um, and that's where like if you ever seen like grimy DMX footage or like just anything in the club where it looked like you could get shot at any minute, that was the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and me and my friends were jokingly saying last year, I want the tunnel energy back in the music industry, but I didn't know we were really going to get it. Like, but I think it's been kind of like Jan was saying, it's been kind of festering. Like, I feel like it's been at the surface, and now it's just kind of finally like the gun has. I feel like Cat really pulled the trigger, and I don't even think he realized he pulled the trigger. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I feel like he knew exactly what the fuck he was doing. Like he was very intentional about everything he said, and he's been very intentional about how he moves and the things that he does allow to surface on the internet as far as like sound clips. I don't know. I kind of feel like he knew what he was doing. I don't feel like he didn't know.
I
Yeah,
would
I've
love. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, my go.
No, I was just saying like I do agree with the energy shifting because I mean the start of the year and him just giving us 3 hours of just ethering. One of the greatest what we call those comebacks ever. Definitely was ethering every single body. But it feels like it definitely opened the door for some real shit to really come back. I mean, say what you want to say about Cat Williams, I would honestly say he's never given me the vibe of being somebody that you can't really trust in that regard, like trust his word. You know what I'm saying? He don't seem like the type of nigga that would just do anything for anything. So him just, giving the people the real and just being so upfront with it, I definitely feel like that energy definitely like injected into the world, because now it's like a bunch of chaos. But I would say it's honestly good, because the shit that it unlocks, if even if it was that, is good to start exposing, and you know what I'm saying, removing that veil and having what we would call like, destruction of what we once believed was a part of our culture, because a lot of different things started happening ever since that. But it's time to expose some shit and really like move some pieces and get some shit that didn't necessarily need to be in the way before out the way. You know what I'm saying? So for the real people that are actually real hard workers, really people that put in their heart into things without being nasty people behind them, like I think that's what's, for me, that was an important part of him just even having the balls to be like, fuck it, I'm about to just let the chopper sing on everybody. Whoever get hit.
Was there anything in the interview that shocked you guys or surprised you guys or was like, whoa, I didn't expect him to say that?
I think for me, the commentary about the men, him having to, I think he said he took $50,000 to not take penis or something along the lines of that. I think he said he
Yeah.
did that 2 or 3 times. Like I did, it just was so vulgar. I was like, whoa. He's like, he's not holding any punches. And I think the pieces about, I want to say they were about Kevin Hart, as far as just like what he had to do in his career versus what didn't have to necessarily do to be successful. I just feel like I knew they was beefing, but I didn't think he would address him so directly, and
Right.
just throw him under the bus with basically all his dirt, which a lot of it wasn't confirmed or unconfirmed, to be honest. So it's just like I don't feel like he was lying about any of that shit personally.
That's why I say I'm like, it was a real nigga season. Like all that fugazi shit, trying to pretend, you can't pretend anymore. Like everybody's mask is sincerely like being removed.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think he was gonna be. I mean, he's Cat, so I know he was gonna be direct. I just didn't know he was gonna verbatim. But I mean, he set the tone when he came on and said, "You allowed these people to come on your platform and lie, so now I need to clean up their lies." And I feel like that's also been a theme of this year of like working in media. Like the shit is it is weird. It's always been weird,
Mm-hmm.
and you really will encounter people who will sit down with you for an interview and you can tell they're verbatim lying to you, giving you a PR response, or that they're not really giving you like the real. And then these interviews come out and y'all wonder why we don't know these artists the way we do, or we don't know these entertainers the way we do, or why everything feels very bland when it comes to these artist on artist interviews, or these, very constructed, interviews. But the truth is a lot of people don't want to be that revealing.
Right.
But I think this year the tone was just kind of set where you kind of have no choice but to be. Because if
Because
you
he had
don't,
Monique on right after
yep,
damn near, and she,
yep.
went on to tell her stories about what happened to her, et cetera, too. So
Hmm. And I think a lot of people have started. It's actually funny because I feel like his interviews after Cat became very like, well, I'm coming here because I need to clean something up. Because even Meg came on there afterwards and was
yeah.
like, yeah, let's kind of clear the air on what you said, and he apologized to her. Um, so I feel like his platform is starting to also become a place where now people want to go to clear the air. They feel comfortable going to him because Cat went there and kind of set the tone.
Right.
I would like to see more of that in media. I would like to see more people just feel comfortable being like, nah, like this is how I feel. I saw it in Lotto's interview with Billboard when she talked about Ice Spice, and she was like, I ain't really got no real beef with her because if I did, like niggas would know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I think we're starting to see people get back to being just a little bit more open. We don't need your personal business. We just want to know how you really feel about that bitch that you got to compete with. That's it.
Right. And you know what's so crazy? Because I think recently I just seen Rob Markman mention something to, I think it was last night or something on the timeline, where he mentioned to somebody who tweeted him about, I guess, just interviewing in general, and just how there's a lack of artists that actually want to take the interviews, and the person kind of was like blaming the actual journalist, like maybe it's you guys is the reason why, you know, artists don't feel comfortable or want to even have these kind of interviews or whatever the case may be. And I thought that was like an interesting point. Not to blame the journalist, of course not, because I know, of course, being on that other side, we know there's other factors that play a part in, you know, artists really even having interviews with certain journalists or whatever. But I would say that the type of interview style does matter, because an artist needs to feel that vulnerability, that comfortable, safe space, in a way, using air quotes very loosely, but to really trust the person and trust that whatever they are saying is going to be exactly what is put out too. Because I kind of could assume too, with just how everyone is just so quick to want to put something out for, you know, clickbait reasons. Like, for instance, the Janet Jackson interview. Now, I'm not saying the journalist that did that interview was trying to, you know, be messy by putting, you know, the whole thing about Kamala into it, but I think things like that, in a way, play a part in whether or not an artist wants to be open or not. But we also do lack PR and media training for artists too, who don't know how to interview. So I think it's like, you know, a little seesaw effect going up and down. But that's just my thoughts on that.
I think
No,
for me, when you talk about clearing the air, we're talking about essentially just being honest, right? And I feel like that's more so what I'm getting from some of these conversations, is that we are essentially putting more of an emphasis on honesty and integrity rather than hopping on these interview spaces and just talking about any fucking thing or saying whatever just to get clickbait, or clicks rather. But I don't feel like what needs to be taken from the moment that we're in is that artists need to be more open and saying more, in my opinion. Because I do feel like we've gotten to a place in music where I feel like we just know way too much about artists in the name of them being open and vulnerable. And I just feel like a lot of that needs to be poured into the music rather than you sitting up on an interview and just pouring out your whole life story and everything that's happening to you in your personal life at the moment. Um,
I think there's a difference, though. I really do think there's a difference. And we see the difference. If you know, you know, you identify with what I'm saying. There's a difference. Like, the artists, they do have the access to these platforms, so them showing their asses on these platforms kind of make you not want to hear from them anymore. But
mm,
I do believe in showing personality, because we're not in that era of the mysterious artist anymore. But I do think a good interview is important, because people still need to know the personal side of an artist, and that really just depends on how the interview is conducted, who's doing the interview, and that personal thing. But I do agree with you. Like, I really don't want to hear the thoughts of a lot of artists, but then we have to remember who is the artist's thoughts that we're listening to, because there's some artists that we kind of wish that y'all would have never ever picked up social media and left the phone in your manager's hands instead. I would just say that.
I mean, to clarify, I'm not saying not to do interviews, but what I'm saying is I don't think that what we should be taking from it is that we want to hear from these artists all the time and just them being vulnerable in every single interview. Like, I do feel like there is a balance to how much we should be knowing about these artists and their personal lives. And to your point, I do think they should be more intentional about who they're interviewing with and the type of information that they're giving out on those specific interviews. But I still feel like when you put so much of yourself out in these interviews, you also like that. Why would we want to listen to the music then? Because everything that we would want to hear within the music, we're now just getting in an interview clip. And I feel
So
like
you think
maybe
that
there's some.
determines it?
No, it doesn't determine it. I just feel like, again, just have some, like, there should just be a balance to it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you're doing 2 or 3 interviews a year, to kind of talk about the new music that's coming or whatever you're experiencing in life right now, and make those 2 or 3 interviews great interviews, like really outstanding interviews, but not necessarily doing 15 interviews and then dropping the EP every 2 months. Like, I just feel like there just needs to be a little bit refinement, a little bit of refinement, excuse me, with the amount of personal information that people in general, not, I just hate to put this as just artists, but just people in general, we need to refine the amount of personal information that we're sharing with audiences, because like I do feel like we're not in the era of the mysterious artist anymore, but we do need to have some sense of privacy to some degree.
I
I
think
agree.
from like my perspective, it's just this idea of if we don't document it as it's happening, then who the hell is going to tell the story? Um, I only say that because like granted, I feel like a lot, I mean, we could have a whole conversation in just the music landscape and sonically what's happening and how things feel, but I feel like with certain artists, um I do feel like there is this sense of just not responsibility because that's a heavy word, but I do think there is this sense of someone has to document what's happening here. And I can't always take your POV for it because you're always like, we're both going to see things from a biased way. You're the artist, you're way more sensitive about your shit, whereas I'm more of the critic. I'm the person that's supposed to come here and look at this from a different perspective of like, well, why did you write that? Well, then what triggered this? What caused that? What X, Y, and Z? I feel like you need to know certain things, like, and that's the crazy thing because you're talking from a perspective like when I've talked to artists and I've asked them why they don't like interviewing, they said exactly what you said, Jan. I don't feel like y'all need to know me like that because if you do know me on that type of level, it takes away the magic from the music. But I see it in a different light where I'm like, if you sit down with someone who understands the music and wants
Right.
to further understand you so that they can contextualize all of it, now you're cooking with grease and you have a great conversation. I always reference things like Janet Jackson's 1993 cover story with Rolling Stone. I absolutely love that interview because her and David Ritz sitting down and having the conversation, it was like they were talking about how, like, for instance, she was driving one of her dancers to community college to take courses outside of, dance rehearsals, and the music that she was listening to on the way to rehearsals. And the music she was listening to, it was Joni Mitchell. Fast forward a couple years later, she samples Joni Mitchell on the Velvet Rope. So it's just like it's certain things like that that we need for you need to be able to know these things. You need to be able to witness these things and go, okay, this is how we can go back and track the artist that you became. I think it's
Yeah.
important to just have people there. Like, it's kind of hard now because I understand with media, you don't know who's around for what. There's a lot
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
writers who call themselves journalists, but really all they're doing is taking PR emails and interviewing the subject based off of what that PR email was about, throwing in a couple other miscellaneous questions, and they're running it as a story. And then you have some real writers or some real journalists out here who are really just trying to tell some stories and get some conversations going and be able to document this time period in media, in music, and in society. So I think it is important that you have those conversations. It's just about who you have those conversations with.
Yeah. And that kind of was my point. You guys fucking killed that, by the way, both you and
Nah, we
Jan.
ate that.
And
Nah, we
yeah, I
ate that.
ate
I
that.
ain't
Yeah,
gonna
I
hold
ate that.
ya. We ate that.
Delicioso.
I ain't
Yeah,
gonna.
there, yeah, there. But yeah, I think that was kind of like basically bridging both of what you guys are saying at the same time is a combination of the artist space feeling vulnerable enough to tell their story in a way that, like you said, Kia, is, you know what I'm saying, a little fly, if you will. And the journalists, if there are any that we do have still left out here, besides our good friend Kia here, and those out there, in the world, but the journalists as well, knowing how to take the artist's story and make it something that is digestible. So it's a combination. Combination.
Not combination. Jaquel. Wait, am I saying your name right? Jaquel. Jaquel.
It's J Cal, but like it's like
J
a hard
J
Q,
Cal.
like quarter.
Oh, so
Okay,
it's
J
like
Cal.
black, but
Yeah, my
six
mom,
flat.
she did her
Okay,
thing.
got you,
She
got
did
you,
whatever
got
All
she
you.
right,
wanted.
got you.
Oh my
Got you.
goodness.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
I just wanted, I like what y'all going back and forth with the different perspectives, but I just wanted to throw like a question out there. Do y'all think like the media landscape, even if you wanted to just put a time mark on like the pandemic, I feel like before, and social media obviously juiced this, but like even just thinking about like love and hip hop and just reality star type of artists, there was like a really clear difference, just even how they were getting looks on other media platforms like MTV to even just blogs and such. But do you think that that's really impacting how people are even looking at journalists and how artists are approaching everything? Because the shade room is like important in music conversation, but do they do
What? Huh?
interviews? You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying just the social media part, like
I
how
don't know
much
about that. I
artists
don't know
and
about that.
people hold it to importance versus these, because like you just said, if there's any journalists out there, they like a, it's like a rare thing for artists to have big moments in, real journalistic like platforms. So I'm just talking about the media landscape. Do y'all think it affects like what y'all are talking about?
I think it does, right? Like I have this thing where I feel like media and different platforms and the things that are at the forefront, quote unquote, I put that in quotes, the forefront of the culture, like the DJ academics, they are a reflection of where we are as a
I'm sorry,
culture.
throw up.
They're a reflection of where we are as a culture, whether you want to admit that or not. Like, I don't feel like we all, every single black person, that would apply to, right? Like, I don't personally engage with the shade room, but there's a lot of people who do. So I do feel like a lot of these different platforms are a reflection of where we are as a whole, as far as the things that we give our attention to. So in that regard, yes, what we're seeing, like, it's all tied together. It's not like these platforms are just getting paid by whatever entities that are behind the smoke and mirrors to be at the front of the culture. Like, this is stuff that people actually engage with, and that is why they are where they are.
I
Yeah. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. No, because I hear that, and it's unfortunate that that is the sad, sad, sad ass reality that we even consider shade room, which we have to have a, I feel like we just really have to have a line in the sand. I don't know how we gonna draw it, but it has to be a line in the sand between actual bloggers, and no disrespect to anybody, you blog, you do your thing, you know what I'm saying, because blogging used to be a thing, but actual journalists who know what they're doing, and the ones that don't sacrifice integrity just to have a clickbait kind of story. I think we have to really draw the line in the sand somewhere and amplify those voices. I don't know the world, you know what I'm saying, of journalists, but something has to be done, because I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. You guys are also the heartbeat to the culture. Like, we get what is hot, what's not, you know what I'm saying, from you guys. So it's like, when you have opinions and bias and payola and all this other shit that plays a factor into people even giving you stories where your headline doesn't even match the actual goddamn story. You literally just made this headline up just to get me to look at your story. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not even looking at your story. I'm really just looking at the headline, because the headline is supposed to tell me everything in this, social media world where our, attention span is literally 7 seconds or less. So I don't know what can be done, but I do believe something can be done. And as far as that, I don't know if it's like bringing back exclusivity in that regard, because I've been having thoughts about that too, like especially regarding like black music, black culture. Like, we don't let niggas in the door too motherfucking easy, and shit has been wacky ever since. But I don't want to go off on a tangent, y'all. Anyways, go ahead, Kia, do your big one.
um. Well, I think the first thing is, like Jan said, I think society is always going to be a reflection of like who we are. Like, so the media that we have right now, it's a reflection of what people like. And it's funny to me that every time I hop on Twitter, people are saying defund academics or DJ Vlad or X, Y, and Z. But y'all kind of, not y'all per se, like y'all on this call, but the community, the people, the social, whatever, they built that. Like, it's not like the shit just come out of nowhere. Like, you can't fake all of that shit. Like, no, y'all invested in it. The Joe Buttons, the everything. Like, even I still watch Joe. Like, we invest in it. People talk about baddies every day. How much I saw a tweet defund Natalie Nunn, but literally the reason why they're able to keep doing this is because the views that they're getting is generating large amounts of money. Like, so if you don't like something, you have to subconsciously yourself stop investing in it. You yourself have to stop watching it, listening to it, tuning into it. So I think that's the first thing. I think that for it's so easy for the consumer to like talk about media without understanding that like media is literally a communal relationship. So we don't work without the other person. That's the one thing I think I do love about journalism is I can't do my job without other people. So I have no choice but to have to communicate, whether that's with teams and the artists, or whether that's with the general public who may disagree with my opinion, disagree with something that was said, X, Y, and Z. I still have to be the person that's really holding conversations on both spectrums of entertainment. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I think a big issue is that because of the internet, we have access to information to things that you guys did, or not you guys per se. Again, I'm not generalizing it, but we just have access to things we didn't have access to before. Like back in the 90s, I don't really think people knew how journalism worked unless you went into that field to become that. Like now it's like you can go on chat GBT and ask how can I become an accountant, and it's going to literally give you 1,500 steps detailed with links if you need it, and if you pay the $20 a month, of everything that you need to know to do X, Y, and Z. Every day I go on TikTok and it's some new girl up there saying put this prompt in, it'll teach you how to start a business. Like, so because we have access to so much knowledge, it makes everyone, including the consumer, because I always want to put this back on the consumer. It is always like, because we have access to this stuff now, a lot of y'all feel like y'all know what the fuck y'all are talking about. And so it makes it hard for the real journalists to get shine and to get attention, because if the average motherfucker who works down the street at the gas station gets a viral tweet about something that is absolutely incorrect, meanwhile you have a journalist over here who actually did do their research, probably really did do an interview X, Y, and Z, and they only got 13 retweets, which one do you think people are going to go with? This goes all back to the conversation we've been having recently about misinformation in the media, about conspiracy theories. I know we joke about Jaguar right, but that's not okay. You can't be out here slandering people's names with things that are not founded in any type of truth. Like it's just unacceptable. But it's so funny to me that the consumers and the general public are able to point the finger at people in media, not realizing that they're part of it. You've made yourself a part of it, and then you want to point the finger at at other people. Well, who's the journalist anymore? They're around. I can name them for you. I can tweet them for you. Y'all just don't pay attention to them. You rather pay attention to the YouTube link of Joe Budden sitting there ranting about something because he was in the industry for a couple years and knows a couple things. Like, you choose what you digest, and that is what gets the streams. That's what gets the money. So all of that journalism thing be crazy. And then as far as like understanding, like, because I think also too, people don't understand, as the writers, we don't choose our bylines. Like, I might have a working byline, and then when I send the article in, I'll change the byline to something that I think works. It's been so many times, y'all, transparently, where I've had to email editors and say, can you change that byline? Can you change that? I didn't agree to that. Can you add that clip back in? I didn't tell you to take that out. Can you please put that quote back? I feel like you don't understand this part without that quote. You don't know how many times we have to sit there and argue with our own editors about our own work that we turn in. So if that's the fight that we're fighting internally, on top of the fact that maybe you might have an idea of like, hey, I want to do something where we present new artists on this platform. Well, what's that going to do for us? How is that going to generate clicks?
The
I'm
game
not
is
lying.
fucked up.
I'm not lying to y'all. I put that on everything. I wouldn't lie to y'all. I promise. I wouldn't lie to the streets. Like, this is really the things that I have been told to me, have been told to my friends. Like, well, how is that going to generate clicks for us? How is that going to bring views in for us? So if this is your bread and butter, and your only way to do this is by the bullshit work, guess what you're going to see? Bullshit. Which is why we tell you guys all the time, retweet these writers, check out their work, amplify the people that are actually doing the work. But that requires you to also do the research to find out who is doing the work. Stop being
True.
lazy. Back in the 90s, they couldn't just wake up and say, okay, well, what's going on with, I don't know, Jay-Z today? No, you had to get your ass up, go to the supermarket, and pick up a copy of Vibe, or pick up a copy of Double XL, and you had to
Hmm.
read the articles, and you had to see the name of who wrote it. You
That's
had to
true.
go and do that. You had to put in the effort. It wasn't you just wake up and go on Apple Music and you just listen to whatever you listen to. No, you had to get your ass in that car and drive to Blockbuster, Best Buy, wherever, and pick up that DVD or pick up that tape or pick up that CD. It took more effort from the consumer. But now, because so much is accessible to the consumer, it's like y'all don't know if y'all want to consume or if you want to be involved. And so now the whole game is fucked up.
Ooh,
Cause now you have
a
so now
bar.
you have people that don't know shit about journalism, that don't know shit about actually having etiquette or media literacy or anything in our industry, getting the interviews that I couldn't even get. And I done interviewed everybody from Babyface to Pharrell, and I can't even get certain shit. But these motherfuckers can. Then you get a couple TikToks off. Yeah, they gonna come knocking at your door. Yeah, come interview my artist. I'm
Now,
just
do
telling y'all the real. Like that's really what it is. So only because it frustrates me as a journalist that I'm constantly hearing shit about journalists, and then when we really get into conversations, nobody actually knows how the field of journalism even works. So when we having these conversations about the media landscape, about journalism, you got to look at it from a wide spread. And I need the consumer to be more honest about the role that you play in it. Because I be seeing y'all in the shade room comments. Y'all be talking shit, then sit in them.
The call is coming from inside.
So what are we talking about?
that's a fact.
Literally on the timeline, I'll see one person say the shade room is detrimental to the black community. Then in the next tweet, oh my God, y'all knew what's the name died, and it's a screenshot of the shade room. Girl, what are we doing? Like, is it Uchiwali or is it one mic? Y'all gotta let me know.
Uchi one mic.
But yeah, that's my rant. I went on the rant for Milan, but yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Do y'all
um,
place any blame on the platforms? Because like Complex with Everyday Struggle, they put up academics. Spotify got Joe Biden. I mean, I said Joe Biden, Joe Budden, and it's also it's interesting what you pointed out because yeah, people are getting the journalism from unexpected places like Club Shay Shay and Cat Williams, learning about things they never knew, and it's like that was post Club Shay Shay is when he got off of his main platform, which was ESPN. So it's an interesting like position that everybody's in.
I mean, I feel like to your question, she kind of answered that. Like, it's these bigger platforms are responding to what the audience responds to. Like, if it's not gonna get clicks, they're not going to go with that article or run with this or that. Like, even music platforms, like a lot of stuff that we, for the most part, are asked to prioritize, it's based upon what the audience is engaging with. Like, they're not going to give a billboard to an artist that doesn't have audience engagement because they're looking for those numbers. Like, if we give them this billboard or if we give them this look and they share it, what is that going to do for our platform? Is that going to draw listeners? Is that going to drive listeners back to the platform? Like, that's what a lot of these DSPs are doing. It's not fake news. Like, it's not a secret either. And it's just like, you have to, as an audience, to Kia's point, take some type of accountability for what you guys are engaging with, because that dictates what these platforms are going to put out to y'all. Because everything that they're deciding to put out is based upon, well, we think this is what they're going to engage with because what they've already engaged with. It's all consumer habits.
Jan, you
Eh,
mentioned a very
yeah.
oh Milan. No, say what you was gonna say.
No, I was gonna say really quickly that also relates to music too as well. Like artists are definitely just following the algorithm because that's what's popular too. So
Yeah, I was actually going to use both of your points. So I love the point that we're making about the algorithm, about following what's going on, and really being really just like reading the room almost. Like that's kind of what's going on. Um because after Cat kind of opened the door, we then went into what I love to call the Grammy Super Bowl season, when it's like back to back, we just it's like major events on the timeline. And at the Grammys, I mean, the Grammys were pretty mid this year. Honestly, I can't even remember much from the Grammys this year, so that's how I know it was mid this year. Um, However, Jay-Z did he was awarded the I just know it was a Dr. Dre award, which that in itself is very problematic. But he accepted a Dr. Dre, I think Global Icon Award, I think it's something like that. And he went up there and basically made most of his speech about this idea of not getting it right with the Academy. Um and he used his wife as an example, which obviously had some feedback, because I mean, I understand what you mean. Your wife is the most awarded woman or person, excuse me, in Grammy history, but she does not have album of the year. But I think also when we peel back the layers of even the awards that she's won to even become the most awarded person in Grammy history, most of them are in R&B categories. And if you go back and look at those R&B categories, I think all of y'all would be shocked at who she won against, which I think says a lot more about the racial undertones of the industry and how we view artistry versus putting people where they rightfully belong to rightfully fight for their right spot. Um, I don't know. How did you guys feel about Hove's speech, especially in retrospect, knowing, you know, everything else that followed with Cowboy Carter and the CMAs and the country awards? And so I don't know. How do you guys feel about Hove and his speech? And do you guys think that like obviously I think we can all agree that Beyonce should have won album of the year at least once. But I do think it is a bit annoying to constantly hear that the woman who is literally the most awarded person in Grammy history deserves this highest honor because that accomplishment isn't enough when there's people who literally have none.
Okay, so really quick, and this is just for educational purposes because I really want to know, and anybody in the room who's probably got the same questions I got, this I'm here for y'all. Um, what is the big hoorah about album of the year compared to you having, let's say, you got nominated 16 times throughout that night and you won 14 of them things, but you just didn't get album of the year? What is the big significance to people like me who probably, want to know what's the difference, if any of you, Jan or Kia, know?
Well, I love that you asked that question because Hove actually answered it in an interview with Elliot Wilson,
Yay.
not this year, but I believe last year when he performed God Did. And he said that the reason why album of the year is so important, and I actually agreed with him when he said this because I've been saying this for years and people have been telling me no. So when Hove said it, I was like, finally, someone saying it. It goes back to the conversation we had about Lil Wayne in the Super Bowl, right? About how you don't care about something until you see someone of importance get something. And then now there's a hyper importance on that because someone you respect or you admire or you follow and has done that one thing. And he said in the interview that essentially the reason why album of the year means so much, especially to the black community, is because we all remember Michael Jackson winning album of the year for Thriller. We all know how big and influential and iconic Thriller is. Literally, people refer to other people's albums as what is that person's Thriller. So he mentioned Michael and he mentioned Stevie Wonder when he had his run where he won album of the year, I think back to back 3 times, 3 or 4 times. Um, those were the two examples he used as to why it is so important to specifically black artists of why we deserve that win. Now,
Okay. Oh wait, just really quick because I want
mhm,
to think the first thing you said, because
mhm.
I think it's interesting that because he won the award for album of the year for Thriller, which we all can agree is a masterpiece. What if he didn't win that award? Would the same type of energy and, I guess, standard be considered though? Because I would honestly say without the Grammy winning or not, Thriller was still that bitch.
Interesting point.
I
um,
personally feel like it still would be, right? Because when you think about how everything is categorized and all the different awards, essentially album of the year means best of the best of the best. So if we talking
Mm-hmm.
about best R&B album, it's just best out of the R&B albums. Best hip hop is best out of the hip hop albums. Best album is best out of all of the shit that came out this entire year in any genre. So I think that is why it's held to such a high degree. It's literally it in Grammy speak, it's basically the best award or highest honor you could get because it's literally saying that your entire project is better than everything else that came out.
yeah, that's what I was about
Got
to
it.
say. Like it literally is. We as an industry believe that there is nothing else that came out in this 1 year frame that could top what the fuck you did with this.
And it's
And
Exactly.
determined based on your
it's
peers
determined. So
and
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
imagine,
okay.
you really respect, especially at that time when Michael made Thriller, you had people like Frank Sinatra who was still alive. So I granted, I don't know if Frank was one of the people that voted, but I'm just saying he was living in a time frame where those legends and icons that he admired within the industry, all of those label execs who were really in their prime, like they were moving and shaking at that time. The industry was really forming into the industry we kind of had for a very long time. That structure we had that's now
Mhm.
coming apart. It was really coming together at the time that Thriller came out. Um, which is why I think Thriller's win is so significant because it represents a time in the music industry that we no longer have. It represents a time in the music industry where labels were willing to dish out however much money. If the label wouldn't dish it out, you had networks like MTV who were like a lot of people, I don't know how many people know or whatever, but the label did not want to pay for Michael to do the video for Thriller. Thriller was the last music video to come out. And the reason they didn't want to pay for it is because by the time he went to do the video, the album was already the best selling album of all time. He had already made history with just that alone. But Michael said, no, I want to take it a step further. Let's do a video for the title theme. And they said, no, we're not paying for it. So his team went to MTV. They said, hey, we know you guys are struggling. If you guys give us $1 million to finish paying for this video, we will exclusively give you the behind the scenes to this video. And because of that,
Making the video?
yes, literally, that's what happened. And
Wow.
because of that, MTV literally gained more back than what they paid Michael off of the VHS success of the behind the scenes of Thriller. It literally saved the network.
I remember hearing that story that Thriller is
So
the reason why MTV was
MTV is
saved.
still around. Like,
Uh-huh.
so when you're dealing with the industry where money just flowing like that, a million, it like that's some money to give out. I know it may not sound like to some
We talking about
people,
back in the day
we
millions,
talking about back
y'all.
in the day millions. So
Okay?
like
Yeah.
that's a different type of million. You know what I'm saying? So I think the industry at the time was coming together in a way that was creating the blueprint for artists like Beyonce and Jay-Z to come along and really dominate. I think the problem is now that Jay-Z's not realizing, or even I think a lot of the gatekeepers or leaders in the industry, I don't think they're really realizing that is not the same industry we're in anymore. The industry that Michael released Thriller in is not the industry Beyonce released Renaissance in. It's two
I can
completely
agree.
different worlds
Yep.
now.
Yep.
Just
A
to add to
thousand.
what you're saying, Frank Sinatra's little man's was Quincy Jones. So there's politics also at work here too. But y'all are 100% right with the different industry. I think they're expecting a certain standard now, which I think comes from creating your own platform. Because if I remember right, there was a whole scandal with The Weeknd performing at the Grammys and then the Super Bowl, and because he wanted to do the Super Bowl, they say that's why they snubbed him. Which I don't know the truth on that, but just to add to what you're saying.
No, you make a really valid point. I think also who you align yourself with, that makes a big difference too. And Beyonce's Beyonce, so it's not like she needs to align herself with somebody. Let's be very clear here. But like again, the industry optics were just different then. Like at the time that Michael released Thriller, it meant something that the producer on your album was Quincy fucking Jones, knowing who Quincy had already worked with.
Right.
Whereas now Beyonce putting Hit Boy on her album, much love and respect to Hit Boy. I love Hit Boy.
Oh shit.
It's the same thing as Ariana Grande putting Hit Boy on her album. It just don't hold the same effect. It doesn't hold the same weight. Like I said, the industry was just
Yes.
different then. You know?
Yes. That's a great, I'm not gonna lie, you killed that
We
example.
eating
That's
tonight. We
that's a
potting. A nigga potting tonight.
that oh we potted nah. That's a real great analogy to make, just because, no disrespect, Hit Boy is that nigga right now, but it's not going to translate if we're talking about two different times. So I guess personally then, and of course we could transition after this, but because of the different dynamics and standards, does it really matter now? Is she just, because Beyonce is still very much so, one foot is from that era, the next foot is from this era. I think she does a great job of being in the middle of bridging old school and somewhat of the new school as well. But does it really matter now if those are the standards? And I'm not saying, of course, if you get a Grammy nom, you get a Grammy winning, that's amazing for any artist. But for her caliber of artist, considering that, does it even really matter? I mean, of course, we don't know, but just saying, hypothetically speaking, from y'all, do y'all think that would even really matter now?
Absolutely. I think to her, right, it absolutely matters because it's like an athlete winning a gold medal versus a bronze. Like it don't matter how many gold medal or bronze medals you have, rather, you still gonna want a gold medal, like because that's the best award you could get. So I don't care if I have 80 Grammy wins, I'm still gonna want that album of the year because that's the best one you could have.
Yeah.
And I feel like even outside of her, I think that would be the standard for any artist. I think culturally, like us as consumers looking from the outside looking in and not necessarily being artists, many of us might not understand why that is an award that is so highly um what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing my
Sought
words.
after.
Coveted.
Yeah,
Coveted.
Mm.
but it's like, but to an artist, it's the highest honor. So it's like it doesn't matter what time period we're in. That is the highest honor, and it's always gonna matter.
And
Um,
I think we're in a generational change too, because like I remember Tyler the Creator, I remember Billie Eilish. We're kind of entering this era where like Gen Z and onward, they're kind of like, why the fuck should we give a fuck? Like, don't get me
yeah.
wrong. There are people who are like the Victoria Monets, like, certain people that, if they were to win one, they understand the importance and significance and the history of it. But I
Hmm.
feel like a lot of the newer artists we're about to see starting to win these Grammys and stuff, they actually don't give a fuck because to them, it's really, I don't want to say there's no significance, but they don't come from that time frame. I think for Beyonce, it means so much because like the person tweeted in the comments, like she does view her work on that level of the Stevies and the Michaels and the Princes that
Right.
came before her. So she's a direct, like I kind of feel like the superstar era goes from the Michael, Prince, Madonna, all of them straight into the Beyonce, the Usher, the Justin, the Britney. Like I feel like that they're those, they're the kid, the mother and fathers and kids and of each other. So yeah, I think for Beyonce that is something that she's always going to long for because that's just where she comes from. The same way when Usher got the Super Bowl, he was just like, "This is something I always wanted because I saw Michael." But it might be a Gen Zer out there who, like, I mean, if they call
Like
whatever,
Chapel, what's her name? Chapel
Chaperone,
Roja.
she probably
She
might
gonna
be
be
like,
like,
"All
bitch, I don't
right,
give a fuck
sure."
about this shit.
I mean, whatever. I'll go out there and do a couple songs,
And
sure.
that
Like
will piss a person off if she won album of the motherfucking year and did not give a fuck about that shit.
honestly, if it doesn't go to Billy, I know we're gonna get to that in a next episode. We are gonna do a Grammys episode once the nominations come out.
Mm-hmm.
But if Billy doesn't win album of the year, I'm personally rioting in the streets by myself.
Facts. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't
I'm
care.
not gonna lie. That's the
I'm
only white
rioting.
woman. The only white woman I'm behind right now. Her and Sabrina Carpenter.
No,
Only white.
Sabrina.
Only white. Eh.
I think
Hey,
the Snoop Dogg have 0 Grammys. I think he don't.
I actually don't know how many Grammys Snoop Dogg has. And I agree, Sabrina Carpenter would 100% care. That's why she my bitch, because she comes from a certain superstar era where I don't know if y'all have even seen her, the opening to her show, but I mean, talk about theatrics. But we're going to get into the new girlies. We're going to talk about the new girlies. They're on my
So
list too.
Snoop Dogg has 20 nominations but 0 wins, and that has been brought to you by
wow.
the fact checker over here at Reasonable Dialogue.
I wanted to say something about like I think we're in an era where just most people, and I would say maybe younger people, but just generations don't really care about the hardware or accolades and just anything across the board. Like in sports, cats ain't really caring about a championship for real. They really about their bag and just like what sets them up. So it's kind of like you're seeing that with music as well. Like, all right, I'm not really trying to go for the Grammy, bro. Like, I just want to set myself up and make sure I got these deals and I'm set as an artist. Like, I don't really care about that. So, just tangible things that are connected with success, like an award or anything like that. I just think that it's not as desirable as a whole with with like generations now. So to just kind of go back to what you said about like a different era when Michael won, right? Like generally, like culturally, that was the thing. Like you wanted that hardware, like you wanted the trophy, you wanted to have that shelf of like these are my accolades, and I think just now that's just not like the ideal perspective. You know what I mean? Even though people still would like that or whatever, but it's just not as focused. You know what I mean? So I think that's a big part of it.
I mean, I think to some degree you can look at society, right? Like going back to the conversation we were having earlier, as far as like everything is a reflection of society. And we are struggling as a society right now to make ends meet. So it's like if music is going to be your means to an end, then most artists are going to be looking at music like a bag or an opportunity to get their family out of poverty rather than this is an opportunity for me to get album of the year at the Grammys on the most basic tip.
I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah, that's real.
Facts. So we did mention the Super Bowl, because obviously we know that Hove controls the music industry in his bare hands, and we should all bow down to greatness.
Rock Nation, you will crumble.
Because Rock Nation is in control of everything, the government, law enforcement, you name it, they're in charge of it.
Hold on, Rock Gov.
Rock,
That's kind of
ooh,
ooh.
we partying, we
Get Lenny on the
partying. Get
phone.
Lenny on
Lenny
the
on the
phone. I'm
phone.
not playing, yo. It's like, yo, y'all potting today. All right, I don't give a paper how y'all are. Y'all potting today. All right, I'm proud of y'all niggas. Niggas showing up ready to work.
Not Tory's on the stage, bitch. Ew.
Not Tori got on the stage, child.
You're,
Tori, what's going on, child? What's going on?
I can only listen for so long. I be trying to just stay in my place, but I be having something to say.
Come on out
But
with it.
nah, the guy who was just speaking, he made me think like one reason why the Grammys may not be as important to some of the younger creators is because the music kind of lost its competitive edge. And a lot of creators aren't really occupied with trying to create the best project that they can. A lot of creators, like he said, is just trying to get that bag. And once they position themselves on a certain level, the accolades don't really matter because they got the money. And when you have a person like Beyonce, who really takes, I do feel she really takes this music shit to heart, and she really cares about every single layer. Yeah, you're gonna want to be appropriately like rewarded, especially when you feel like the people around you aren't going as hard or aren't producing as good as you. And then one of the reasons why I feel like maybe she's not winning is because the people who are rating it, they don't see hip hop and R&B, because there's so many collaborators, because there's so many moving pieces. They don't value it as much because they think that if the guy with the guitar by himself in the studio did more work. But that just is a long history of them not valuing our creative genius and all of the um just in his room. He learned freaking FL Studio by himself at 15, and he's creating all this amazing production. They don't see that the same that we see it. And it's just really interesting because the guy who just made all the beats and rapped it by himself is just as valuable to me as anybody. Probably even
I
more
wanted
impressive.
to
Big facts. Big
something you
facts.
had mentioned about the people who are rating Beyonce, because I remember this being a huge thing when it came out. One of the voters were saying that she didn't vote, or he or she didn't vote for Beyonce because she already won too much.
Yes, I
I
remember
think
that.
that's also a huge part of it. I feel like a lot of people are so jaded by Beyonce and the empire she's been able to build, the music she's been able to put out, that they're like, okay, we tired of her now. Like, y'all acting like we owe her a vote. And that's kind of the energy around Beyonce. And it's really unfortunate because it's like the quality of the music deserves those awards. So it kind of speaks to the type of people that we have in these seats that are rating these awards. And it's really unfortunate. Because I think it's deeper than just where we are as artists and what people value. I think it's also the people that are in position to vote for these things. They are so like they just do not fuck with black women, black people. Like anything that they can do against these artists, they will do it if they can.
But Tori, you know what? Jan is on the academy now, so we gonna get tea from
You know,
her.
I am not a voting member though.
Wait, what the fuck?
No, there's voting members versus professional members, and professional members can
Cancel the
engage.
academy.
There's
Damn.
different ways that you can engage. Yeah, and I'm not a voter because I don't have enough like musical credits
So
on.
what we gotta do? We gotta put out an EP or something.
All
Actually,
right.
I literally would have to be credited on
All
music.
right,
Yeah.
so we dropping a mixtape, y'all, next year. Please support because we trying to get in so that we
That's a
can vote.
fact.
We
We
trying to
changing the
change it.
game. Okay, be the change you want to see.
But no, Tori
Milan
brings up
hosting
a
the tape.
really
Hello.
tough. Milan's definitely getting in, bro. Don't she? She's getting in. But no, Tori brings up up a really like valid point. I do think also the way that they view artists, it's like we know who they go for. They always want to go for the songwriting, like, oh, you really went in the studio and like sat there and thought of some inspiration. Oh my God. I think the way they view creativity and the way they view making music is even like different from, how we view it.
And it's a lot of old heads that's still up
It
there.
is. It
Woo,
is.
There's
yes.
a
It
lot of
is.
old heads that have not got with the new regime of how things operate. So they're very much so stuck, and they Jimmy Carter. I'm not gonna hold you. They in the wheelchair, mouth open.
Okay, Jimmy Carter is my no, my eighth cousin 6 times removed, or some shit like that. Come on, you can't do Jimmy like that.
Well, you know what, Jimmy, just because you Kia cousin, we love you. But brother, it's time. It's time. But they just be up there in an old ass mentality. And I mean, majority of the music entertainment business is just an old ass mentality, if we're gonna be completely honest. So to your point, Jan, that also does play a factor, because I do remember that story very much so, of the person who was supposed to be voting was like, I mean, that's just plain hate and shit, if you ask me.
Literally.
Plain hate and shit. And that makes me think, okay, how many other people also operated in that way when they seen it came time to vote for her or any other black artist that, because, we always got to do things 3 times harder and better to be even qualified as even on their level. So for me, it's just like a lot of different factors do play in why certain things just don't happen, in my opinion, too.
And also, I feel like sometimes they will, like this Beyonce standard, it has to outdo her last project. Not outdo everybody, but it's like, well, what did she do new? Like, did
Yes. She
she,
got to top her own
is it
self.
better than Lemonade? Yeah, and that can be very difficult. Um, when you are so far along in your career, because I even question, what is Beyonce gonna do to top what she's already done to continue her upward trajectory? And that's when she gave us Coachella. That was very special for where she was in her career and like what she did next. And so, like with Renaissance, I think that was amazing. I swear, I think that album should have definitely won album of the year. I don't remember who actually won.
I think it
But
was
yeah,
Harry
I
Styles that
started
year.
thinking like, oh goodness.
Child, I literally, as soon as you said that, I was like, ugh,
Yeah,
let's
it
not
always
talk
and
was
about
Harry
that.
and they
Styles. It
were
was
trying
Harry.
so hard. They were trying so hard to declare him as the king of pop against Michael Jackson.
Bruh.
Oh
Tragic.
yeah, I
Very
remember that.
tragic.
Yeah, like, and so I don't actually, when younger acts or new generation of acts, when they come and they check the politics, they see what's going on. I understand why they're not eager for those awards, because it's like, I deserve it, but you're not going to give it to me. So what am I really doing? Like when Jay-Z's speech, where he was like, "You got to keep showing up, you got to keep showing up until they give it to you." I don't know about that. At some
I
point, I'm
agree.
just like, look, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. We're gonna make our own Grammys or something.
Yeah. It's
Well,
But
kind of
he's
like the
right.
concept of like always trying to feel like you need to be invited to the table. You can't keep working hard to be invited to certain tables. Let me just be completely honest. It ain't going to happen. You're going to have to build that bitch yourself and let them come to you.
So then what do we need to tell Lil Wayne about the Super Bowl? Because
Woo!
this
Oh
is just the
man.
perfect segue into
Okay,
that.
the first thing first, I think, is the dreads. The dreads,
Okay.
the
Wait,
dreads,
what?
All right.
the
Milan, I
dreads
just gotta
need.
do it.
Okay, all right, never mind.
Intervention.
Yo.
We gotta intervene with the dreads first.
Yes, because I feel like psychologically the dreads there it's like it's something is going on with them that's making him think the way how he's thinking. And because the way how he's thinking, that's why he's losing them. So he's losing his mind the same way he's losing these dreads. We gotta, address the dreads first.
We gotta address the dreads. Go, son. You gotta be stopped, bro. But I agree. I think okay because you bring okay. Milan brings up one of my points of why I don't think he got the Super Bowl. So let's just kind of recap what happened with that because that's going to lead us into yeah
Dun
that
dun
dun,
dun.
dun, dun. Boy, was that a highlight of the year. Um, so obviously, if you've been paying attention to anything with the Super Bowl, since last year, people have been kind of rooting for Lil Wayne to get the Super Bowl, especially like once people find out where it's going to be at. I don't know, it's weird. I don't know where this whole idea came from, that because it's in a certain city, they have to have an artist from that city perform at that Super Bowl. I think it honestly started when it went to Atlanta and they got Maroon 5 instead of Outkast. I think that's when that whole conversation kind of started. And that was before even the whole Rock Nation got involved in Dr. Dre. Because I remember when it came to Atlanta, a lot of people were upset online because Outkast wasn't performing, even though when was the last time you've actually seen Outkast perform together? Um, and so when people found out that it was going to be in New Orleans, not this year but next year, a lot of people were kind of rooting for Wayne. I remember going to Essence Fest and he did like a surprise pop out. Um and it was received really well. And so starting last year there was this conversation about Wayne possibly getting the Super Bowl. Of course, as that worked out, Usher did get the Super Bowl this year, which I guess we could touch on that a little lightly, just about like, that whole moment. So then next up was the conversation of who's gonna do it next year. And Wayne seems to be the only option that was coming up because it's in New Orleans, not because of anything else that he's done recently to really call for him to even do it. Just it's in New Orleans. So naturally, when they announced Kendrick Lamar, um, Wayne felt some type of way about that. Nicki felt some type of way about it. Everybody felt some type of way about it. Obama felt some type of way about it. Um,
Obama, not
look,
Obamacare.
everybody was just
Dun
feeling
dun
some type.
dun. That was a
Obamacare is
that
crazy.
was a double entendre. You ain't even know it.
You
I
killed
Like
that.
you ate that. Moo Ding was feeling some type of way about it. Everybody child was feeling some type of way about this. And Wayne issued a video where he basically said that he's disappointed that he did not prepare himself. He's disappointed. I promise I'm not laughing at his pain. He's disappointed that he didn't prepare himself for not getting it, which is interesting because I'm like, why were you preparing yourself to get it? Um, but but yeah, so naturally, it was a big firestorm. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Before I get into my thoughts, because I've said my thoughts before, but I love repeating them again. So
So, considering the context, right, that the Super Bowl is not some regional thing where they book an artist from the city and then it becomes this whole we won the town type of thing. Considering that context, I feel like the whole Wayne being disappointed and putting out a statement and blah blah blah. I thought all that shit was real fucking corny. I feel like as one of the veterans, she should have just embraced Kendrick and just kind of did a congratulations to you, brother, kind of thing, and left it at that. And then I feel like it would have been dope to see then Kendrick respond to that with bringing him on stage for one song or something like that to that effect. But to play devil's advocate a little bit, and I say that with the context that I don't agree with him doing that. If we can say that Jay-Z was justified in speaking out at the Grammys, and we all, most of us, were pretty impressed with everything he said, because like, I've seen a lot of people share it. Why are we giving, like, is Lil Wayne wrong for feeling it the same way to some degree? Because essentially the Super Bowl is the biggest stage in the same way that Album of the Year is the biggest is the biggest award. So it's like they both feel a way about them not being able to get that platform or award or whatever. So it's like, is he that wrong?
he's never wrong for how he feel, and no one's ever wrong
right,
for how they feel.
right,
But I would like to say that I do believe there was a battery put in his back. I do believe, because Wayne doesn't give me the type of person to just jump out the window to the point where he even made a damn video about it. I don't believe that. I
I
cannot.
agree.
I don't. Not 06, 08. No, not that Wayne. You're not telling me that. Okay. So for that point alone, I don't think it was as serious to him initially. Like, yeah, he probably heard about it, but it wasn't nothing that was crazy until everyone started adding to it. You know what I'm saying? Making it a thing. And I think a majority of the people that made it a thing, of course, we know who who made it a thing. It wasn't even about Wayne at that point in time. I really feel like it was more about him bringing out the New Orleans artists of hip hop versus it being Wayne's actual stage. Because if that was the case, I feel like everyone that did have some type of problem would have been said something a long time ago. And I just don't think that Wayne himself really had a problem with it until he had some type of battery put in his back to really make it a thing. Because if we all know the facts about how the Super Bowl was chosen, whatever the case may be, like if I, let's be honest, personally speaking, I'm not gonna say Lil Wayne could not perform, but at the level of artistry that we have performing at the Super Bowl, at least under Jay-Z's new requirements or whatever, in that regard for black culture and hip hop and stuff like that, I just don't see it for Wayne. And that's no disrespect, but that I see him more coming out as a feature, as you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, representing the culture, but as a full-fledged halftime, show type of thing, I really didn't see it for him in that regard. That's just me in my opinion. I could see Wayne at a concert, I could see Wayne at any other time, but we're talking about like actual artist structure. Kendrick, that man shows alone is fucking art form. And I think that's what the halftime Super Bowl performances, at least so far, have been showing you. I mean, I know people have unpopular opinions about, Rihanna's performance because they felt like, the performance itself was lackluster. But everything else around that, to be honest with you, it was still a part of the art form of it. You know what I'm saying? Like the floating fucking stages and all of that shit. Like Wayne right now, the state that he's in, I just don't see it for that nigga, to be completely real. Like, I'm sorry, but no, 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 no.
I mean, Jay Z said to like keep showing up. So if I was Wayne, it first of all,
You know what? You
wait,
gotta go.
I ain't need to do nothing. I ain't need to do nothing. I'm following. Y'all said what did Jay Z say? The man said keep showing up, okay? And I just kind of feel like every year the NFL and Rock Nation, well, within the last couple years that Rock Nation has been involved with the Super Bowl, they have a list of artists that they, choose from. It's not like, okay, so this person's doing great this year. Let's just choose them. They have a list of people to choose from. And of course, they have time to figure that out, check out
Was
people's
Wayne on that
schedules.
list?
From what my understanding, yes, Wayne was on that list. From my understanding.
Okay. So he was
I don't know if
considered.
that's true. I'm not Elliot Wilson. I ain't going to flat out come out and just tell you some
So
shit.
basically, he got the Grammy nomination, but he didn't get the Grammy. So he should try
Basically.
again. Okay.
Basically, that's basically what happened. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I don't know. I just kind of feel like you have a chance to try again. Maybe you can do it in LA. That would be dope if you did it in LA. I think that would
Yeah.
be doper you doing it in LA because it's not your hometown. You get to go somewhere else and be like, nah, this is my contribution to music. Like I think people don't also understand that this is not the BET Awards. This is not the VMAs. It's not like whoever's popping at the time. We
This
just
is
bring
not
them
the
on
hip hop
stage.
awards, y'all.
Yeah, and we just, do a tribute performance. This isn't that. Like this
And do
is
you think Lil Wayne will really be on stage without Birdman? Let's be fucking honest here, y'all.
I don't even know if them niggas gonna even show up because the way they be talking about niggas don't be showing up on time and people can't come on stage with each other at the same time. I don't know what the hell be going
Exactly.
on over there.
You
But
know,
you have to set a precedent for people choosing you. It's not like, oh, this is your career and this is what you've done musically and now we're going to choose you. No, if you're, showing up late to rehearsals and you're working with the people who are producing the Super Bowl, that's a problem. If you're known for coming and being difficult or being under the influence, that's a problem. Like Jesse Collins is literally producing. If you ain't on top of what Jesse is doing, he produces damn near everything that happens in Hollywood, black, white, anything. Jesse Collins is more than likely behind it. So if you already had a bad moment with Jesse at an event, do you really think he's going to vouch for you? If there's other people in the industry who have had difficulty working with you, do you think they're going to vouch for you? They come to your shows. It's not like, oh, okay, well, yeah, they've done good performances in the past. No, if you have a performance lined up, a show lined up, a tour lined up, they went to Usher's residency. They go to your concerts. They sit there. They watch you. They go backstage. They have conversations with you. It's a whole process. So I don't think Wayne probably even articulated his vision the best. I don't think Wayne probably even and this is no shade to Wayne because I respect who he is as an artist and what he's done for music. But when we're talking about the Super Bowl, something where you have rich white men putting some real money behind this shit, like this is the NFL still. Let's keep that in mind.
Hello, it's the white people game. Stop playing.
Who the hell really I
word.
just want to know, I love Wayne down. And in a dream world, I would love to see like a Cash Money reunion at a Super Bowl halftime performance. But let's be real. I said this before. Does Joe down in Fort Lauderdale want to see Lil Wayne on stage talking about some after you back it up and stop?
No, that's the
Like,
answer. No. Resounding no.
That's facts. It has to translate globally because this is a global event at this point. And for me, at this moment, when it comes to the OGs in the game representing the art form, and I did, Nikki kind of cooked me when I made
wait,
a
she tweeted
comment
you?
on the situation.
I know
Yeah,
Oh
your
my
so
mentions is
God.
still
I
going.
saw that and I was like, this bitch is, oh,
that was a
Jesus.
lot. And I do feel like overall I was misunderstood a bit um, because she took it as me saying that Wayne doesn't represent the rap game, and that's not what I was saying. I was just saying that at this moment on this big stage, the person who's representing the art form of rap needs to be on a certain level. And when it comes to the OGs, the locks during the verses kind of set a new standard for me personally. Jeezy and Styles and all they look so good physically. They sound good. They were organized. You could tell they had their shit together. And that's what I want to see when I'm watching my OGs perform. I don't want to see them yelling over backing tracks, lost on stage. Like, can Wayne even really get down with a whole production, backup dancers, possibly a marching band, like in his hometown? Can he really represent his hometown like we need him to represent? Because this is a very important year for rap and hip hop. Last year, all we was talking about was rap is not on the is not on the board. They're not signing rappers, you know. So last year was very hard, and people want to act like this year everything that happened just came out of nowhere. No, it's a restructuring going on, and everybody and to be honest, even how that whole team reacted to the news, very unprofessional, very unorganized. That is not representing the culture well. And it's unfortunate that that our legend Lil Wayne, his children are making such fools of themselves on the big stage right now in 2024. um, I love Wayne, his music and what he did, but I'm not sure if the outside of the black culture, outside of our awareness, if he translates the same. I don't even know what family friendly music he could really perform. Yeah, Lollipop is one of his biggest songs, but can he go sing Lollipop?
Well, I'm gonna just say he
Hmm.
got pop singles, like super pop singles, like
Can you
Give me
name
three
them
right
for me
now.
that
Give
could
me
work at the
three.
Super
Three
Bowl?
"How
right
to
now.
Boo.
Love."
How to love.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Seriously?
Let him get it off. I want to hear the
That's a
three. I want to
that.
hear the
We
three.
just talking about
All right,
legacy,
you said how to love. What's the
the
next one?
history of Lil Wayne. Like he got super huge.
Wait, come closer to the mic. We can't hear you. Come close.
I'm just saying he got big white people
But
songs.
you have
Okay,
to
so what's
consider
mixed after how to love?
the
Let me think. Let me think. Let me think.
Nah, 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 nah.
Nah,
Send him to the
nah, nah.
gulag. Send him to the
Tori, what was
gulag.
you saying? Tori, what was you saying?
And that's not to say that Lil Wayne doesn't have hits that we love. Unfortunately, my favorite Lil Wayne song is, well, not my favorite, but one of my favorites, "Pussy Monster." He definitely can't go
Pussy.
perform that.
Ooh, come on. I love Pussy Money and Weed. I love Hustlers music. You know, it's just,
Most of my
yeah.
favorite shit came from mixtapes. I mean, when I was a senior in high school, that um the third one dropped. Oh my god, I'm having a brain
The
fart right
Carter?
now. See, that's a shame. Yeah, the Carter. That's a fucking shame. Carter 3 dropped. 3P, a milli, and that's all great, but can he really go perform that on the biggest stage in the world when hip hop needs like prestige
So
representation? I don't
really
know.
quick, right, y'all? Because I love the fact that you mentioned that. Because first and foremost, I think people are confused And it is a little selfish in a way because what we want to see from Wayne is just what Tori said, is the mixtape era Wayne. Like, I get How to Love may be his biggest shit, but we as fans of Lil Wayne don't want to hear or see him perform that on a grand stage, if we're being
I agree.
honest. We want to see them shit. You know what I'm saying? I may want to hear John. I'm not going to hear y'all 444 ball my motherfucking pet. Listen, I'm just saying, I may want to see that type of Wayne. That's just me. But my next question will be, right? Are we saying that Lil Wayne isn't a global artist?
I
Because we're
think at this
saying,
time he's not. I
No.
think he's a staple culturally.
does it matter about
Um,
timing to be a global artist?
it
Like,
does matter about timing because you could be
Yes.
a global artist at one point in your career and then phase out, and at this point, nobody else cares outside of the Black community.
so if you take 5 years off and you walk down the street and there's pandemonium is or
And to
none,
be honest, I don't think Wayne was ever necessarily a global artist. I think his music at the time was global because I think there's a sharp difference in that too. Because I think there's a lot of people who will know Lollipop, but outside of that, it's like, okay, you might have people that don't even
point.
know his prior Cash Money shit. They might have just only known that and stuck with that. So I think that's important to look at too. I don't ever think Wayne, to me, like, granted, Wayne is global in the sense of he can go other places and perform and do big shows. Don't get me wrong there. But in the sense of how you're talking, which is probably like that Beyonce, Drake, Rihanna, where you can go anywhere in the fucking world and everybody knows more than at least five songs of that artist. Yeah, like I don't think Wayne ever really made it to that status. I just think he had a moment and a song and an album. And to be honest with you, I don't think a lot of like outside of our community or people that listen to hip hop or just invested in that type of cultural thing or grew up around that, I don't think a lot of people really know songs from the Carter 3. I think people know the singles. I think people know the hits, but like I don't really
So,
think.
question, because I agree with y'all. I don't like his super pop stuff. Like, I'm mixtape Wayne, but do y'all think an artist back in that era, 08, 09, or when the Carter 3 came out, sells 1 million copies in 1 week, and that's not a global artist?
No, because we're coming from a
I think
generation.
that person.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tori.
Go ahead, Key.
Um, no, because I think we were also at the tail end of a generation where we started off the decade with people like NSYNC selling 10 million in a week. So no, a million at that time in 2008. And 2008 was a weird time anyway because that's when you almost had streaming coming in. Nobody was really selling the way people were selling at the top of that decade. If you look at the sales, like I said, we started the decade with NSYNC selling 10 million, and we ended
Right.
the decade with people only selling about a million, to
But
the
that's why
point
it
that
was
a
a big
couple
deal.
years. No, but no, it actually wasn't. Like,
Compared
that's
to
what I'm.
that, 10 million to 1 million is not a big deal at
It's not
all.
a big deal. No.
But I mean, like,
Not at
y'all talking
all.
about 10 years later, right? Beginning of the 2000s,
It's
2009.
one decade, so that was the same decade. So the 2000s started it off. 8 was at the tail end of it. He was still in that decade. So if we start off the decade with people selling 10 million, if we're even midway in the decade and Usher drops Confessions, which funny enough by 2008 was certified diamond.
I agree. I agree with what you're talking. I'm just saying that year 2009. I can't think of other
2008.
hip hop.
2008.
2008.
Kanye, are you bugging? No offense. I
Bro,
didn't mean to come
no,
in
no,
here.
like but no, but
Like,
legit.
I didn't mean to
No,
come in
but
here, but
legit.
you
Like, and
really
that's what
nah,
I'm
bro.
saying.
Like,
Like,
let's be for real. Like, let's be for real. Like, yay, 50. Like, no offense. I don't want to do this to you, but how old are you? Because you was giving me, like, talk about, oh, who
Me,
was hot
I'm
2008.
20. I'm 28.
Mm.
But listen,
But
I'm trying to think of other acts that sold 1 million copies in 2008 from the
But
hip
we
hop
had
world.
Yay. This is why we I think that was like a legacy act too, though. Like Wayne was like legacy at
yeah,
that
he
point,
was.
so we was gonna cop automatically, even when the album sales was going down. 10 to 1 is just socially, like a huge social decline. Because by that time, a lot of us was burning CDs. He gave us so many mixtapes. We didn't really feel the like in high school. I don't even know if I bought the CD, but I listened to it every day. I know my homie had it. bought it. But what I'm just saying is like, yeah, 1 million is not that impressive, but it's still good for Wayne. But he didn't keep up in the streaming era. He didn't make new music for the next generation to keep his legacy at it at the peak that it was at, right? Like I said earlier, I wondered what would Beyonce do to continue her upward trajectory, and she did Coachella. That alone appeals to the new generation or a different generation of consumers, and it allows her legacy fans, the people. Destiny's Child was my first CD I ever bought. Beyonce has never went away in my whole entire life, and that says a lot. So when you have Wayne disappear for like 10 years, I don't know what he's doing. The only time I really listen is when I can listen to whatever that I like on streaming because the mixtapes aren't on there. Then you're going to fade to black. So when it comes time for that Super Bowl performance, years prior, you actually do have to be preparing yourself and you have to be putting yourself out there to say, I'm capable of this job. It is a job interview, And so,
And
yeah,
to Tori's point, the Carter 3 came out in '08. Nicki and Drake dropped in '09. So you have a whole new wave of dominance literally coming in after
Yep.
you. And he
Yep.
went to jail in 2010. So now
Yep.
you're gone and your two mentees are going crazy out here. By the
Yep.
time you come back home, you're kind of looked at as the legend. You looked at as the OG. Niggas
Yep.
that get it, get it. But that new generation that you could have tapped into after Carter 3, you lost them to your mentees.
Yeah. Big facts. And the only reason why you probably have that generation, like you said, is because of your mentees. Because if Nicki or Drake never literally gave Wayne as much props as they do, their fan base would not even care for Wayne, if we're being completely honest. So even that is a boost to him. No disrespect to the artist, but facts are
But
facts.
Milan, that goes to a really important point that I remember somebody made on Twitter before, which was that a lot of stands aren't actually hip hop fans. They just are stands of the person that they're listening
Yes.
to. And
Yeah.
I think this is a great transition into dun dun dun.
Duh.
Oh my god, I'm nervous.
Oh, but
I
really
feel like
quick, just to let everybody
yeah, go ahead.
know, this is Reasonable Dialogue. You know, it's our spaces that we do here every Thursday, sometimes on Sunday. But just to let everybody know, we're having a conversation on like the craziest moments of 2024, doing a cute little Q1 to Q3 wrap up. Kia is doing her motherfucking thing. I'm hosting, Jan is hosting, and y'all are a part of our beautiful condo. So thank you for being here. But go ahead, Kia.
So, guys, oh my God, I've been waiting all year to talk about this. No, because all transparency, because now you guys are a part of our community. Someone asked us early. Oh, well, no, actually, it wasn't someone. It was Brick. Asked was like, when the podcast coming? It's like, eh. But yeah, this is like the prelude, as Jan put it. This is the prelude to the pod, and it's been a long time coming. And we kind of started all of this around the time the beef was happening. Literally, the beef was happening as we were trying to put this together. It was actually funny seeing how everything transitioned. Um, and so we really didn't get a chance to hop on spaces and talk to y'all about it. So now we get a chance to. So without further ado, let's get to the baddest bitches of this year. Okay, so because I'm just so excited. I just love beef. I love fighting. Um,
The
so
girls are fighting.
the girls are fighting. It was really giving Bad Girls Club. I love that for me.
Baddies. Ow.
So all of this started on March 22nd of this year.
Not exact dates.
Yeah, I needed exact dates for
Put
this.
a
I
date
needed
on it.
exact dates for this. So
That's a journalist.
I needed exact dates and
Facts.
information for this. I'm sorry. So I remember being on Twitter and low key, I don't know how well everybody know low key, but low key kept tweeting little like subliminal shit. And I don't like when my friends who work at streaming platforms tweet little subliminal shit because why didn't you tell me? So I texted him, I said, what are you alluding to? And he said, if I were you, I would stay by like streaming and listen to Future tonight. And I was like, okay, I was gonna do that anyway. Maybe not tonight. I probably would have got to it in the morning, but if you're saying tonight, and then he told me which track it was. He didn't say the name. He just said which track. I said okay. So of course, as soon as it drops, I go straight to that track. And boy, oh boy, who would have thought? So a lot of people always want to know where this beef actually even started from. Um, to be honest with you, I think we're all kind of just putting pieces together based off what we've gotten just in general in the public. So they actually started off pretty cool. Obviously, they're leaders of the blog era. So, they actually started off on a okay basis. Kendrick had an interlude called "Buried Alive" on Drake's "Take Care" album. Kendrick Lamar was also one of the opening acts on Drake's Club Paradise tour, and then they both were on ASAP Rocky's song "Fucking Problem," and then Drake went on Poetic Justice. So there seems to be like this good rapport between them. And then in 2013, Kendrick Lamar dropped his verse to Big Sean's Control, which obviously, if you know, just sent everything into a spiral in hip hop. Everybody was like, "Now I'm the king." Um, and then from there seems to have been some subliminal disses back and forth between them. A lot of people think that the language, which was on Nothing Was the Same, threw some shots at Kendrick. And then a couple months later, Kendrick Lamar was at the BET Hip Hop Awards, where in his cipher, he kind of semi directly threw a shot at Drake. Then on the Shit remix, people were saying that Drake took a shot at Kendrick. But in interviews, they were being real like coy about it. It was like, nah, I ain't got no problem with this nigga. Kind of like what Tori was saying earlier, this sense of competition. I think a lot of us just kind of figured it was on wax and there was nothing really happening kind of behind closed doors. But as we later found out, something did happen behind closed doors. We just don't know what exactly it is. So I believe the story is that Drake wanted Kendrick on first person shooter and he sent it to Kendrick and he wanted to hear Kendrick's verse, I guess, before he wrote his verse. But Kendrick was like, I'm not sending you my shit until you send me your shit. Which I expect from two people that are, regardless how you want to view Drake,
Yeah.
I view them as the high of the high.
Everybody
You know what I'm
grabbing their
saying?
dick right now.
Right. So I'm not mad at Kendrick and Drake grabbing their dicks because they're the top of the top in any way you look at it. From there, obviously the song ended up on Drake's album featuring J. Cole, in which there's a part where Drake kind of just alludes that it's just me and Cole, and then Cole tries to clean it up, and he's like, "No, it's all three of us. It's me, Drake, and Kendrick." And we all kind of caught it, but I don't think anybody expected Kendrick to respond the way he did. Um, so yeah, on March 20, what I said, 22nd, 23rd. Sorry, I got to go back in my notes because I did.
22nd.
Yes, thank you, because I did write this down in my notes. So yeah, on March 22nd, we got what the fuck is the name? Oh, Like That. Yes. Sorry, had a brain fart because I'm a little high. We got Like That from Kendrick, and in the words of Drake, nothing has really been the same. I don't really need to break down the
She killed
songs.
that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. We potting today. I don't know what niggas talking about. We potting today. I don't really need to break down like the songs. Drake released Push Ups. He released Tailor Made Freestyle, Family Matters, Buried Alive Interlude Part 2, and then the Heat Part. I mean, I'm sorry, the Heart Part 6. And then Kendrick released his verse on Like That, Euphoria, 616 in LA, Meet the Grams, and Not Like Us. Um, yeah, where did you guys want to start?
And the crazy thing is, Not Like Us is gonna go crazy at the Super Bowl in
Oh
New
my God. Do you think
Orleans.
he's gonna perform it?
Fuck yeah.
I don't think he's
20
gonna perform it
times.
in full
Not in
because
full.
I think
I feel like we're likely gonna get like the hook or the band's gonna play the record, but I don't considering the lyrical matter of it and it's
Yeah.
on national television, I don't think he's performing that whole
We're
song.
probably not gonna get. We're not gonna get that A minor part. We're not gonna get that freaky ass nigga. He is 69
Yeah, we're
die,
not getting
and
most
we're
of that.
not gonna get the Let me hear you say "Oh V ho." We're not gonna get
Mm-mm.
that. The most we'll get is probably the first little. What's on that beat? Oh, that's about it. That's about it.
If anything, he'll let the crowd do the
um
OVO with the band
Maybe,
playing or something like that, but I don't think he's gonna
maybe
perform all of that.
with an HBCU band, one of the
Right.
top finest of the finest, to
I ain't
show
gonna
them that
hold
we are
you.
black.
I think he's gonna perform it, but not in the way we think he's gonna perform it. I feel like he's gonna like kind of include it as almost like a transition song. and like have it as a little moment in itself where maybe the crowd could be like, they not like us, they not like
Mm.
us. And then it
I
goes into
like the
like,
way you think.
yeah, and it goes into like King Kunta or All Right or something like that.
Oh
I can see
shit!
it. Hey, I'm getting
Oh
myself. Come on,
Yeah.
shit!
director.
I got a bone to pick. Ooh!
Mhm.
I don't want your fucking
Mhm.
Do it
Y'all
again.
think he'll drop an album
Okay. Okay.
before
Okay.
the show?
Can we start? Can we start somewhere? Because
Tori getting excited. She said,
like you guys say, like you guys just said, right? He got a bone to pick, right? The pop out show showed me that, well, I already knew this, but it really just shined a light on the fact that he has so many songs that can be referenced to how he feels about the state of hip hop, about Drake and everything, right? And so I always go back to when all this was developing, since I think you said March 22nd, I think you said.
yep.
Um, a lot of people were surprised, but I wasn't surprised at all. I was just fine. I was just happy it was finally happening. And I think that, like, earlier in this conversation, y'all was just talking about the consumers, and it's like people are listening to this music and they have no clue what's going on. And that kind of it's funny to me because we can put the pieces together in hindsight, but when I'm doing it in real time, I'm reaching, or I just want it to be a beef or whatever. And so when you have people like the Joe Buttons, who is taking the time to break it down in real time, and no one wants to hear it, no one believes it. I'll post it, and I'll even link it up top. But like when that Family Ties dropped, Joe Budden had like a 30-minute pod of him just asking Kendrick, like, what are you up to over there? And I wanted to know the same, because you got him dissing uh Drake on Beyonce song, America's Got a Problem. You got him literally name dropping Drake on Mr. Morale when he said, when Kanye got back with Drake, I was slightly confused. I guess I'm not mature as I think. I got some healing to do. Like, this shit is happening, and when I'm saying it, people don't believe me. And it took all of this for it to finally just blow up, and shit, I'm grateful.
But Tori, you know what's so crazy? I actually, for some reason, I went back and started looking back at old Joe Budden episodes because I wanted to see if Joe has ever really talked about this before. Because I feel like Drake and Kendrick is a dynamic that he would have discussed before. Funny enough, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, he predicted this exact shit happening. He literally was like, "Nah, bro, I'm telling you, Kendrick gonna come at Drake neck one day." And I remember Rory and Mal was sitting there like, "Man, no, they ain't got no real issues."
Yeah, I just posted 2021. I posted up top. I posted the whole 30 minutes because he kept saying, like, it's not Drake and Kanye.
Mm-hmm. Yup.
People think the war is gonna be Drake and Kanye.
Yep,
It's
he did
not.
say that. He said it's gonna be Drake and Kendrick. And I remember sitting there watching it like, yo, he really predicted this shit. But I
Yeah,
wonder what he saw though.
Kendrick wanted that
But I wonder
smoke.
what Joe saw that maybe no one else, or did Joe
I'll
just
tell.
have the balls to say it? Because I feel like we all kind of sensed it, but nobody wanted to say it.
They used to ask Drake
I
about
think.
Kendrick
I think
in
as
interviews too. I think that's why he stopped doing interviews. He got one with Angela that's like I mean Angie Martinez, that he just tries to sun him all the time. And he was like, he didn't mean nothing by, control. Like he don't really mean that. It was like that type of vibe.
I I think Joe has a rapper brain. Like, I have
Right,
a
right.
creator's brain.
Yeah.
So, like, when I heard that J. Cole and the first person shooter, I actually thought that was gonna piss Kendrick off. I tweeted about it. Like, don't say my name and I don't like you. And don't say that um you're feeling like Muhammad Ali the greatest after you say my name, and then you say if everybody's feeling like steppers and everybody breakfast. As a creator, um yeah, that would just kind of annoy me. So I feel like Joe just was seeing, like in the clip I put up there, you guys save that and watch it later. Joe was just saying, like, yeah, it annoys Kendrick that um Drake is in his house tootsie sliding and going around giving everybody $1 and he's sitting at number one. Yeah, that does piss him off. Cause you know why? Kendrick, he wants to represent something greater and he feels like he's number one. So whatever he does next, it has to be number one. It can't be number two to Tootsie sliding.
Yep, you're right. Cause and it was Ish and Ice he was sitting with, not Rory and Mal. It was Ish and Ice because it wasn't that long ago. But yeah, that was the exact clip that I watched. No, literally, sorry, the exact clip you're saying is the exact clip that I watched. And I was sitting here, literally, I just did this like a couple weeks ago, and I was sitting there with my mouth open because I'm like, how did I miss this nigga literally predicting what happened? Like, how did I miss it? But I think
Smoking on top fives.
I was smoking on top
It's
five.
not like, yeah, it's not like who's really, who does he really feel is top five? Kendrick.
True.
Do you guys feel that
He wants,
Kendrick thinks Drake is in the top five with him?
no, he
And
don't
nah.
think he that's the point. He
Yeah.
don't think like, well, he probably knows that he's there based off of just how the industry goes, but Kendrick sees himself amongst Jay-Z and Nas. He doesn't see himself amongst J. Cole and Drake.
I think I'm gonna have to agree with Tori on that one because it's like a higher echelon. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm of a different kind of cloth. You know what I'm saying? You really not like us. No pun, but that's really what it is. And yeah,
So we would
yeah,
say the way Kendrick is viewing the rap game is the same way Beyonce is maybe viewing the Grammys of like I'm of a certain type of status. I This is how I'm presenting my work and myself, and this is how I expect X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, and he has he's gotten to a point where they've had to recognize his greatness. Like his Grammy count, the awards he's gotten, every time he pop out those numbers, he's crushing tour
yes,
dates.
yes,
Like,
yeah. The whole package, honestly. Nigga fucking pops up acting every now and then.
Nah, him
yeah.
on Power was amazing. I loved it, honestly.
Like you have layers.
And there's like a deep mental aspect too, because Drake, I think Drake always wanted to be what Kendrick kind of naturally is, because it's like you get the crown from Snoop, Dr. Dre, they do it on stage. His blow up is his story. You know, his first album, Good Kid, Mad City. You know, Drake's biggest singles in the beginning was like pop stuff, and his singing, rap, it was like a whole nother lane.
But Wayne told his ass to stay in that motherfucking lane. And I'm not gonna lie, I do like certain rap Drake. You know what I'm saying? I do. But I like R&B Drake a little bit better.
Drake didn't heed Hov's advice on Light Up.
See?
No, at all. He gave him the play by motherfucking play. And it
If anything, I think he became the rapper that Hove was talking about.
Hello?
mm, cause maybe he always been that.
He literally said, Drake, here's how they gonna come at you with silly rap views trying to distract you. What the fuck does this nigga do all day? I'm just saying, I think sometimes you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Woo.
Or wait, hold on. I don't know. It just bust my brain. Even though he was on the no, that probably wouldn't make
What?
sense.
What?
Cause
We can work this out now. We can work this out in real
I
Just
time.
was
say
I,
it.
wa-
Just say
I
it. We
was
gonna
gonna
Right.
say like although he's on the track with Drake saying that necessarily to Drake, but could have been talking to Kendrick in a sense
Mm.
because I'm sure there was a respect and regard from Jigga to Kenny, no doubt about
I
that.
mean, he did hop on the Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix.
So I don't know. It's just you saying that just prompted the thought in me personally because how Kendrick is moving, if we're gonna, this is just me, y'all. Please don't crucify me yet. But I just personally feel like how Kendrick is moving is how Jigga's move. Would Jigga move? Like
But
I feel like that's how this is very, to be honest, it feels a little jigger coated, but with just a little extra sauce on it. Like that, I don't know. That's just my
so
take.
with Kendrick and Drake, I always go back to the Buried Alive interlude because I said this shit years ago and niggas thought I was like wilding. So there's this.
But wait, Key, before you say it, did you catch when Drake uploaded his version
Yes,
of the
I
interlude
did.
during the
Yes,
beef?
and that's why it pissed me off because why would you do that when I have my theory going? Because now you just added to my theory. No,
Sorry.
no, no, not you. No,
I'm
not you.
sorry.
Not you. I'm talking about Drake. I'm talking about Drake.
Oh,
Pissed
oh,
me off, like because Drake added to my theory, and I was like, damn, I was hoping my theory wasn't right, but now you released this your version of it. Now you got me feeling like my theory was right. So my theory was and Tori, you probably seen the clip of. So there's this clip that I love of James Brown. He's performing, and he bring Michael Jackson on stage, and he tries to include Prince. And there's like this like infamous story about how like Prince was getting up there and he was trying to do his thing, but it just wasn't really working well. Like something about he just couldn't get it right. Like he couldn't find his really like footing on stage.
He broke
Meanwhile,
the stage.
yeah, meanwhile Mike got up there, he grabbed the microphone, he started and moonwalking, and the whole place like lost their fucking mind. And I always felt like the Buried Alive interlude was weird because it comes in at an interesting point in the album. It comes in after Marvin's Room, but it comes right before Underground Kings. And nobody else is on the interlude but Kendrick. And if you really listen to Kendrick, right, the whole point is me and this nigga are the same age, yet he's slightly more successful than me. He has all of these women, all of these things. I'm trying to really understand what the fuck is going on here because even I'm a little confused. But okay, yeah, sure. I'm going to ride with this. And at the end, he basically says that Drake tells him to find his vices and die in the industry. Like, you just kind of have to, like, become what you see. You have to become what's around you. And it was just so like striking to me because then when you listen to everything that's come after in Kendrick's body of work, and then you listen to his responses to Drake in this beef, and then the whole fact of Drake doing his own version of Buried Alive interlude, it always made me feel like Buried Alive interlude wasn't like this joyous collaboration moment. I really think Kendrick's like almost like, because
Hundred percent.
I don't want to say hate, but I feel like his start like his disdain for Drake began at that time. Whatever Kendrick was seeing around Drake, it wasn't aligning with his values. And that was also at the time where Kendrick was trying to navigate the line of being a pop star while also staying authentically to himself, because this is all like the precursor to the life-changing moment he has before he does To Pimp a Butterfly. But there was a moment where Kendrick was kind of like on that borderline of, I'm trying to be a pop star, but I don't want to be a pop star, but I'm showing up at these award shows and I'm trying to like I'm with you niggas, but I don't really know. And I always felt like Buried Alive interlude just kind of held this disdain for the person that Drake was going to become. It's almost like Kendrick knew who Drake was going to become before Drake even knew it. Because again, like the song right before that is Marvin's Room, which is of course is very sappy, very like I'm using my ex-girlfriend's voicemail and I'm gonna get sued over it. Like just this very like emo moment. And then the song right after Kendrick's interlude is Underground Kings, where he assumes this role of being the UGK or the hometown heroes for Toronto, the way that UGK was for Houston and the influence of that. But when you look back on,
I kind of feel like Key,
no,
if I
no,
could
go
just
ahead, go
build on
ahead.
that real quick, I feel like it really shows how two artists can reach the same destination on two paths. It's like when you get to this point, you're either going to choose to be buried alive or you're not,
Mm,
right? And Drake fell into the mythology of that song, and Kendrick kind of showed the warning of it and went the opposite direction. And like Drake remaking it, and so like I like how you said like the next song after that was like Underground King. I feel like Drake wanted to become the bad man that he's perceived to be.
mm-hmm.
He wanted
Yep.
it. He's playing the role, but he didn't realize all of the you got to balance that energy out or you're gonna fall on your sword.
Oh, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, for sure.
I
Open
love how
conversation.
y'all setting this up because we be forgetting that boy is from Canada. And I'm sorry I'm saying Canada like that, but
Why you
he's
say it
from
like that?
Canada. Like
Facts.
sending it.
Facts.
I, no, no, no. 'Cause I wanna get my visa in Canada. So sorry, but like, given how we've seen our Degrassi guy coming from Degrassi, a child actor, becoming a rapper, getting his footing, thinking like, oh yeah, he's been searching to belong to some group. So obviously, every music that he's been making was trying to figure out where does he belong, right? And then I really love how y'all always just saying like, look, he's about to fall into this trap. I'm gonna take the bad man route, or
be the lover boy or something. He don't know what he want to do. And now he's like, now I'm a gangster. Like, boy, you didn't grow up as a gangster. We see the fakeness out of it, or like whatever you're pretending that you are to your fans and whoever wants to listen to that, go ahead. But like, that's why I like Kendrick. As much as people are like, oh, he's not whatever, but like he's been authentic to his thing and he hasn't strayed away. I mean, some parts, whatever, but like he hasn't really strayed away from his core self. He's gonna tell you what it is, and then you're gonna take it or leave it.
And I think that's why I keep going back to the Buried Alive interlude, because it's like Tori said, like he really kind of foreshadowed the whole shit, and then Drake ended up becoming exactly what he was saying on Buried Alive. So I just keep going back to it because I'm like, and this is what I love about music is like when you really peel back the layers and break shit down, it's all there. Like with real artists, that shit is all there. This is like divine poetry. Like it really is poetic justice. I'm
Facts.
not gonna hold you. Like
No pun.
no pun intended, but it really is. Like I love this shit, bro.
Not only are you on point with the Buried Alive, but I think they went on tour together around that same time.
Club
Like,
Paradise tour. Yep.
yeah, and like I think he dropped Control like the next year or sometime close soon after. So
Mhm.
that's what they were really pressing Drake in interviews because he's I think was pushing Nothing Was the Same, and it was like, do you got beef with Kendrick? Do you got beef with Kendrick? And I think after the Buried Alive in the Club Paradise tour, he's like, that's my son. Like you heard his Buried Alive. You know, he's talking about insecure and this and that, and now he's saying he's gonna kill me for my fans, and he not taking it seriously. Everybody else is. So I think that just shows like the not understanding the culture type of vibe that was starting to build.
But I do think something else happened. Only because Kendrick does say, we got some shit to address. So I mean, that shit could be all of this that's been festering over the last couple years. But me personally, I think there's just a little bit more that we probably will never know, or it's going to be down the line.
Key, did you hear
Yeah, because
about
he
that?
let the chopper
Did you
off
hear
too
about that
crazy.
interview?
Yeah, he did.
Did you hear about that interview that Drake did at ESPN? I think it
Yes, and they
was.
ended up
I
delete.
think
Oh
it.
my, yes, I'm so glad that you mentioned this.
Yeah.
So Drake back in it was around that time when the Control thing kind of dropped, like around the Nothing Was the Same era. He had went up to ESPN and did an interview, and they were going to run the interview, but Drake's team called and was like, no. Please, like, don't run it, because in the interview he was talking big shit. He was saying like, nah, Kendrick, basically Kendrick, my son, that's my little, little nigga. He ain't as good as me. Like he up there, but I'm
Not
me.
my
Like
little yay
yeah,
yay.
like he was talking his shit. And for years, the person who did the interview never said which rapper it was. He was just like, it was one of the two. And then finally he came out and said it was Drake.
Oh, he
Yeah, I
was
did hear.
being.
But it definitely got back. But it definitely got back to TDE around that time, though.
Mm. So that,
Yeah, they knew about it, but they didn't hear it. I don't think.
yeah, because I think they said they
That's what I.
destroyed the audio or tried to destroy the audio or some shit like that.
Somebody got that shit.
Somebody got it.
They
Like
never
Lenny
destroy
Martinez got
it.
that Tupac interview. Somebody got
Come
it.
on now. They
Do
just
we
waiting for the right time.
We need to create a list. We got to put this down as a topic of things in hip hop that we know someone has that we need to hear or see before we die. Because I need to
Oh.
see that Tupac Angie interview.
Yeah,
I need to see it.
Mm,
Like somebody got to leave it behind. Like,
but it's a time and place, though, right?
yeah.
So, like, going back to the whole point, like the Cat Williams shit, right? We saying he opened the portal, or just like 2024 is just one of those points in time where things happen, and putting it out now or allowing it to happen now would just have a better outcome versus if you did it in the past. People were not ready for certain shit just a few years ago,
That's a
literally.
fact.
In 2019, I've been talking shit about Drake for 10 years. All the facts that's coming up right now. If you go back and listen to Meek Mill's diss towards him, he, nothing but facts. Everything that everyone's saying right now or understanding right now, Meek Mill said it. But the thing was, Meek Mill was one, too early. He was the wrong messenger, and he had a very bad strategy. Shouldn't have been on Twitter. He should have just dropped the song. Now you Twitter fingers,
Twitter
you
Fingers was
know.
iconic.
So it's
That was
like,
Yeah,
iconic.
I ain't gonna lie. It is. It is.
like the back to back, that whole shit. And that's why it's like so hypocritical, because when he did the back to back, That was hot. And then he was going around performing it. He even had the politicians in Canada
Mm.
talking shit to Drake on Twitter. I mean, talking to Meek crazy on Twitter. And it's like people saying that it's going too far now. That was just the beginning of the opening of the portal itself. Drake has created a world where that type of shit is now okay. Just like he tried to make the AI shit okay,
Mm-hmm.
but it
That
backfired.
shit backfired so crazy.
No, Drake has become self-imposed in his own myth. He's become self-imposed in everything that I don't think he ever
Yo.
thought he would. Like he's become wrapped up in that. And that's it. I mean, I hate that for my boy. I hate that for my boy. Larry.
But it's because he doesn't understand the culture.
The slavery line, he completely lost me.
Oh yeah, no, slavery he definitely he lost me with that one. You rapping like you trying to get the slaves free? Whoa.
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 Nah.
See that right there? Brazen,
Whoa.
brazen, brazen.
But what about the slave line he had on that joint with SZA the year
That too,
before?
that did
What
pop
was that
up.
line
Niggas
again?
had to
What
say
was that
something
line
about
again?
that.
Because I hated that song. What was that line
He
again?
was like, I whipped and chained you. He was talking about how you bought the
Oh,
girl
now he whipped
cars
and
and
chained her.
jewelry, whatever. Like he said, I whipped and chained you like American slaves or some shit like
Oh,
that.
Oh, you
Can we talk
obsessed?
about them too?
What the?
Cause she, I don't know, she be giving Oppie sometimes, and I'm
Who?
sorry, this his ex girlfriend. Or I should
who
not
the
say
hell?
that.
Who is that girlfriend?
Sis. Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but who is that girlfriend? Who the hell we talking about?
Well, him and SZA said they did. They had a relations together, and how they.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what like the way she be moving. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm
I'm
sorry. I
not.
can't
I'm
diss
not.
my Jersey
Yeah,
sis.
I'm
Sorry,
not.
can't go
Yeah,
there. Sorry,
sorry. I
that's where I'm
can't do
It's all
biased.
right.
that.
Can't do
My
it.
bad. Can't do that.
Larry, where you at, Larry? Larry, say something, nigga. Before I skip
Yo,
Why you
you.
ain't just jumping? You had your hand raised
Right,
all
he
this
been
Right,
look,
time.
waiting
so
for
look,
him.
right.
like
So look, right. Niggas have had me fucked up for so
Oh,
long.
here you go.
Cause I heard no, cause I heard niggas talking about that situation in the crib, so I could listen, but I had to deal with the situation. So before I get right back to the beef shit, right? I never thought I'd see the day niggas said Wayne selling a milli out the gate and some change with small potatoes. Crazy shit about y'all. Crazy shit about y'all. But we gonna move on past that, right? The calling a nigga to a bitch to his face agenda. I like that. We need to keep that up. We need to continue to make that a thing. Fuck academics, by the way. But legitimately, for so long, niggas have been doing the dance, the industry nigga dance that they do nowadays when you still gotta mingle and go talk to folk and go do some business every now and again. But niggas was doing that motherfucking dance like we ain't all just see niggas in the middle of the dance floor holding hands and shit like. And then they finally said, "Fuck the dance, I got something for you," and that's what Kendrick did. And oh God, did he do it? And I listen to that verse every day. Still listen to that song. It's a great song. Future with Slide every day. But as I go back, it's shit that niggas pointed out that I really ain't even giving too much energy. Like I was listening to the what is it called? America's Got a Problem remix earlier today, talking fucking nasty to this nigga. Briefly, but talking fucking disgusting to Buddy. Told that nigga I slapped the shit out you. Just straight up and down. And that was it. And then obviously some time would pass and he would double down on that and it would get much, much, much worse. But just I love because he didn't buy in to the Drake machine of hopping on social media and doing the jokes. He's like, here's the link. Here's another link. Oh, you think they got another one? I got another link. And here's another link. And another link. Nigga, it's just 5 links back to back of him shitting on you non-stop. Shitting on you, shitting on your peoples, shitting on niggas on your label who ain't had a hit album in God knows how long, shitting on everybody in your motherfucking vicinity. And that's the kind of energy rap niggas need to continue to have. Now, granted, a lot of niggas can't rap well enough to back up that kind of talk. A lot of these niggas do not rap well enough to back up that kind of talk. But the ones that do, we need to get back outside and back to telling niggas fuck you to your face and letting that be it. Not a dance. It don't gotta be this, oh, he's okay, or some little like catty bullshit.
We need to get back to Beans and Jada Kiss of fuck you, nigga, eat a dick. It can all be so simple. It can all be so straightforward, but niggas gotta rap for all that. And niggas gotta be so serious about jumping out the window and saying, I don't care who's offended. And the thing about it is that I really do love and hope to God I never see. I better not see a Jay-Z and Nas moment behind this shit when these niggas are like 45. Don't you fucking do it, bitch. You better stand on that shit forever, nigga. Stand on it forever. You do not do Meet the Grams and then say, you know what? I've had a bit of a change of heart. You know, Drake, we had a misunderstanding. No, no. You jumped out the window and you screamed that nigga is a bitch the entire fall down, and then you landed on your feet, and then you did a spin and you walked off smooth, easy, smooth criminal. I need niggas to get back to standing on calling nigga a bitch.
I don't personally feel like he's going to renege in 10, 20 years. Like, that's not the energy I get from Kendrick Lamar. I'm gonna just be 100 with you.
Yeah, I feel that. I look, I think the part that people are not missing, but like that we're not focusing on is I don't think this is just rap shit. This is bigger than rap. This is cultural shit. And to my homie that was in here right now just speaking, and he was like, yeah, back to telling niggas fuck you to their face. It's like even on some culture shit, we got to get back to that. Like we got to get back to gatekeeping and protecting our culture, because otherwise you create monsters. We're so accepting. We're so, and even like black people in general. I'll just say American black people, Western black people, whatever you want to call it, we're just very accepting, and hip hop is very accepting. It's a very accepting culture, so we want people to thrive. You see a nigga, you see white boy at the function dancing all crazy in the middle. Everybody like, hey, ha 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 ha. It's all good because that's just our energy, and we just accept people in. But there's got to be like lines that you can't cross, things that you can't have access to, and I think that's the part. I think that's the reason why Kendrick hates Drake so much, not because of some rap shit, but I think it's just because culturally speaking, he just represents everything that Kendrick hates. And why a lot of us, and I'm with you too, Tori, on some like, I've been since 2009 telling niggas about Drake when he got up there with the Blackberry and was trying to say he was rapping. And then the next, a few sentences later, talking about he's the best out. You can't like I just there's got to be certain lines. Back in the day, it was like you had to go to the basement booth to rap, or niggas didn't take you seriously. There was just things you had to do, and then that right around that when Drake was popping, the barrier for entry started getting lower and lower and lower. And so I think it's more so of like he doesn't like what Drake stands for. And that's where I'm at with it. And I think we need to, like my boy just said, we need to be on that type of time and that type of energy with just everything about our culture, which is why I love this moment so much because it feels like it's bigger than rap. And that goes into what Kendrick was saying on this last record, Watch the Party Die. It wasn't just about rap music. It was just in general. You niggas are not good for our community. It's time, like Umar said, y'all niggas gonna have to go to sleep for good. And in every way, metaphorically or realistically, it's like it's time out for that. So that's why I really love what's going on. I've been living my best life musically since then because I've just been enjoying everything that I've been hearing because I'm like, yeah, it's about that time.
I actually love that point that you made, Justin. Um,
Yeah, I agree
because I
too.
think it is time for the real. And Kendrick has definitely, I mean, Kat knocked on the door, but Kendrick blew the whole house down. Um,
Kicking the door
no,
within the
within the
4-4.
period. Uh, woo. Uh, so I mean, I really don't think there's much more we can add to like Kendrick and Drake. Obviously, we know this is like the last great hip hop beef that we'll ever have. I'm definitively
Yeah.
standing on that.
I don't think we're ever
Um,
gonna get another.
no, we're not. And I'm sure they'll, somebody gonna take a little shot here and there, but the actual moment of it, I don't think we're gonna get more of that. I think the moment was the moment, and now it's just gonna be like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But boy, was it a time to be alive. No pun
Haha,
intended.
no pun. That
Bobbles
dun
and
dun.
Barrett's at 37 is crazy.
Woo.
Mm. That's
Um,
Shmino whole style though.
I
Right. Don't come for
mean,
Smino.
no.
It's the
Right.
thirty-seven
There's the way you
Canadian
came off the
part.
mic. Right. Don't come for me now.
Don't ever.
I'm just saying,
I have a
that
question.
Don't ever.
that's his aesthetic first. Like he's the one who capitalized
I
off
think
that
today his birthday
shit.
too. Happy birthday to Smino.
Happy birthday,
Facts. Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Shmino.
Um,
Do y'all think that
go
I just
ahead.
got
Go
one
ahead. Go ahead.
question. Do y'all think that Drake could actually survive this and go back to where he was, like on like as far as just being number one?
All
No.
it takes is one hot album.
Well, he'll. I think that hot album's got to be like pop kind of focused or like R&B kind of focused. I think he'll still have his listeners because he's
Mm,
got like millions and millions and millions, and that's not going nowhere. But just the overall like reverence across the culture and the industry, that's gone. That's gone. That's done. But like
And
he's
I
still
also
gonna have
think
people that support. You know.
he's also shooting himself in the foot with continuing to release music amidst
Oh,
all
that's
of
a
this
dummy
beef.
mission for sure.
Literally, it's like you have been exposed and niggas is not fucking with you right now. So you need to just take a pause, give us a breather, let niggas miss you a little bit so that they see what is missing from the rap game when you're not here, whether they like you or not. And then return later. But I just feel like he don't know how to sit the fuck down. And I think that's what's killing his legacy right now. Like just chill out, bro.
plus, he's
Niggas don't
always
know
gonna
how to
do
shut up.
numbers. He's gonna
Right.
always do numbers too. To be completely honest,
Yeah.
Todd, the other day when I don't know who that woman was, but she leaked the the text messages between them, and he said he was on the slave
Oh, what's her
contract.
name? What's
Johnny
her name?
Blaze.
Johnny Blaze. Yeah.
I was about to say
Yeah, I don't
Jaguar.
think he can sit down.
I ain't gonna hold you.
Oh Lord,
That whole conversation, I feel like it was taken out of context, and I don't even understand why we saw that conversation. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, I feel like that was
no,
just an
for
artist
real.
talking about like in the context of it, is like if an artist is doing hella work at a time, he's like a slave to the work. I don't think it was like him literally making a slave joke or whatever people try to turn it into with the slave comment, but I don't know. I just feel like okay,
You're reaching. You're
yeah,
reaching.
literally, it was such a reach, and
We had
but
no business knowing
I
that
took it
information. We
as
had zero
go
business
ahead.
knowing that
Sorry.
information.
right, it's just
Listen,
like
I
why
haven't
do we
heard
Go
know
ahead.
Johnny
this?
Blaze's name in fucking
Well,
eons.
I took that comment as like the evidence for the assumption that he can't stop working right
Uh,
now. Right? Because why aren't you sitting down? You should not be
You
like
saying he broke?
as a good strategy.
no.
Not broke, but he's trying to like he has a contract to fulfill, a big contract to
Mm.
fulfill. And he probably had a huge plan for this year that kind of got derailed by this blow up. And it's like, no, he has to put out these 15 features or whatever. Cause when he tried to just drop music, you see the label was like, bro, we're gonna need our cut from that. Stop that Instagram shit.
I mean, the other thing too, though, is he's Drake. So, like, if you, I personally feel like you have enough leverage and power to just be like, I cannot do shit right now. Like, it's not in my benefit or your benefit either as my business partner for me to be so visible at this moment in my career. And I think if you have the right conversation, you can make that make sense for them.
Now this means
Gotta
I
make
don't
this,
it make
know.
this,
sense to him.
this will just have to be if that nigga got that much power. Because
I don't
remember
know.
we
I
had
don't.
that conversation about niggas having real influence and niggas having
Yeah,
real
we're gonna
power.
revisit
Well,
that conversation. We're gonna
I don't
revisit
think.
that one.
I don't know
Yeah.
if he does. I don't know.
Well,
I
I
mean,
don't. I think he does have that power over his own shit. I'm not talking about him having power over anything industry wise or
No, yeah, over his own shit. I mean,
no,
like
I'm
yeah.
talking about yeah,
to
no, I'm talking over his own the release of his own music. I'm
So
not
that's
sure
what I'm
that he does.
saying. I think he
I'm not 100%.
does.
I don't know because you go back to the line in the diss that nobody listened to on Kanye's Like That remix, where he talks about where's Lucian, serve your master, nigga. But I think Drake is beholden to we all know how the music industry is as far as tiers of power, right? Like the Lucians and the folks on that level have more power than the artists in general, and just in generally speaking. I'm not so sure. I mean, it could be either way, but I'm not so sure that Drake has that power to walk into the office and tell niggas, "Yo, you're waiting on music from me." I don't know if he does. And I
They
mean,
gonna
as
bang him in his mouth?
no, they just he's signed to it. He just signed to a contract, and he's addicted to his status, which means that he doesn't want to lose his he doesn't want to risk his status by going against the people who are funding what he's doing and the contracts that he's on. So I'm not so sure. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I just the way he's moving don't feel like he's in charge of the release of his work right now. I don't know.
To
Buddy
me, the way
can,
he's moving feels like he's operating in his ego rather than in what's
yeah,
best for business,
it's a hundred
personally.
percent his ego, and what that's what I was
Yeah.
about to say. He has to make it make sense to him, and to him, I don't think he wants to stop.
So he didn't learn
He
his
wants to blow
lesson.
by it and keep
Nope.
it
Exactly.
moving, and that's not how the fuck it go, nigga.
He's hot headed.
So you
Real
guys are
high headed.
The real
bringing
ego
up
death was Mr. Jermaine Cole.
so you guys are bringing up an interesting topic. We're starting to talk about the music business, the music industry, power, influence, and how
They
that
say
all
this is
kind
a
of,
big rich town.
comes into one. Um and I think this is a great segue into our final topic for tonight. Like, obviously, we're not like wrapping up right now, but this is just our final topic for tonight, and we're going to do a part two for quarter one to quarter three because we we still got a lot to go through. Um, but I would like to know. So I'm assuming everyone saw Richmond's tweets.
Nah,
Yes.
saw it was confused. You 100% right.
Um. Well, I'll just verbatim say I never saw him as a rapper. I think his beats lean towards hip hop, but I'm also, from my knowledge, his background isn't even in R&B and hip hop.
It's
Um, and so yeah, I just leave it to
Wait,
the
what is it? What
floor.
is he?
We
He's Albanian?
Jan said his background is indie and alternative music,
Oh.
yeah. If you
but
listen
I'm
to the
just gonna leave
pre
it on the
Million
floor.
Dollar
Y'all tell
Baby
me.
shit, he don't sound nothing like I really want to know where niggas got the hip hop thing from, because he don't sound, one, he don't rap, and two, maybe it's the Brent adjacency, and I really think that's what it is, and I have a whole theory about that later.
How did he come out though?
It's definitely that. And I think
The
it's
million dollar baby shit.
also,
Brent. That's the, well. Remember, he was on what was it? Upset on the Brent album.
Yeah.
He was on Upset.
yeah.
Then Million Dollar Baby did his thing on TikTok, and then the whole thing about him being connected to Brent. And I think on Brent's imprint came out, and it's like, okay, boom, there we go, and he's associated with that very successful indie group. But prior to the Million Dollar Baby thing, and even prior to Upset, if you go listen to what Buddy is dropping, that shit is real indie leaning. It is not super R&B. There might be some little smooth joints in there here and there, but they're not crazy. They're not crazy indicative of somebody who is trying to get over in the hip hop and R&B space. So the fact that anybody of
It
any,
sounds like 80s elevator music.
exactly, like real pop synth type situations, like the new jit. Look,
Well, that I disagree with. I think the pop synth situation we talking about, because I hear that too, is the vocals and the vocal
yeah,
production. But if we talking about the production that he's doing that pop synth and all of that over, that's very hip hop leaning. And I think that is
The
why, from
drums.
a curation perspective, it's very melodic hip hop. When we were saying that it's hip hop, we're not saying this nigga's a rapper. We're saying your music is hip hop leaning. You use hip hop to get where you are, and now suddenly you not hip hop. Like, all right, bro.
and see, that's what Rob Markman ended up saying. And this, when he said that, I'm like, all right, bet I can see where the idea is coming
I
from.
don't know if is someone talking right now because I can't hear the
Oh,
other
hold on, my
guy.
fault. Let me do one thing.
Could everybody hear him?
I can hear him.
Could y'all hear me?
Yeah, no,
Oh, he has me
yeah, I
blocked,
Oh,
definitely
so I
did.
can't hear what
I
he's
definitely.
saying.
Larry,
We're just gonna
Larry,
move
What?
on.
What?
Larry.
It's okay. It's okay. I just can't hear when he's
What?
talking. So I'm gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
Hold
I'm
Wait,
gonna
wait,
up.
wait, wait,
say,
Tori, hold on one second. Let him, Tori, we gonna
Wait.
let you know when he finished. We gonna let you know.
Oh no, no, I didn't already
Okay.
Wait.
unblock. I didn't already unblock you. So,
Wait.
but
You're live. What the fuck? Why are you
yeah,
like?
but yeah, it's just when Rob Markman said what he said,
Yo.
it made more sense. I'm like, all right, bet I can
Caliente.
see. But at the same time, it's like it's not something like you have to. That took a little convincing. I need a little bit more information because off top, immediately it's not giving that. And again, I like that he came out and got it out the fucking way because we don't need to do the Post Malone dance 2 years from now, and that will look way worse. Just let
Okay, so
niggas
my thing is,
what.
what did the nigga come out and say? Yo, what's up? My name is Tommy Richard, man,
no,
whatever.
he literally just said, I'm not a hip hop artist.
Yeah, he
But
deleted that tweet and then he put it back up saying, "Let me
I'm
cut."
not. Yeah, I'm not solely a hip hop
Yeah, which again, if you
artist.
started that way, you would have been you.
is that what he initially started as a hip hop artist?
No.
No,
So if he said he's not a hip hop artist, what's the problem?
Well, the problem is he's putting on, and maybe he's not putting it on in his perspective, but from the outside looking in, it seems to
The
a lot of
association of
people
black.
that there's a lot of association to hip hop
Mm,
culture,
Wait,
and there's
Tori, can
also
you
a
hear?
lot of yeah. She should be able to hear me because I'm not. We follow
Oh,
each
Yeah,
okay,
other.
okay.
yeah.
But their
I hope I'm not
association.
black. I'm just saying. I didn't do nothing to you, girl.
He associate. There's a lot of associations to hip hop and R&B and black culture that is, in my opinion, and many others, propelling his career. So to essentially kind of kick us to the side, like, actually, no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a hip hop artist. To me, that's where people are making the references, like, because you're doing exactly what that nigga did. So I don't know. That's just my take on
Mm.
it.
I mean, I hear it, but if he never initially came out and was on some like, yo, I'm a hip hop artist, and I get it, the aesthetic, you know what I'm saying? You're a white boy, you want to dress like that, or maybe I don't know, maybe I don't know, but
I think they just
the
dress like that in general now. Like that shit is a little more common than it used to be. But
the adjacent, relationship to freaking Brent, of course, gives you some colorful points, but I don't know. I personally don't see.
I wonder.
I don't
I
see
wonder
it
what
like
made
as
him.
a serious. Like Post Malone came out on some like real fucking had cornrows, my nigga. The cornrows was fucking
was
falling
dead
apart
on
and
rolls.
was dead ass with fronts and all of that. So I could see that in the sense, but I don't know. I don't, because even when I listen to the music, like his whole shit don't sound like nothing related to hip hop to me, to be honest. So
But you know what it is, and I think where it kind of gets.
I wonder what even made
Go
him
ahead. Go ahead.
tweet it.
yes, I would say that. Like, what was the meaning behind you having a tweet? Specifically, you're not a hip hop artist,
Yeah, I was
because
going to
then
ask, did
that's
he
a
do an
because
conversation.
interview
because
or?
then because then there's another because then right after DJ Head was like, okay, I'm glad we got the PSA before I did my mix this week, and then he said, I'll say again, I'm thankful for everything. I'm saying I don't want to be boxed in. I grew up on hip hop, but I'm a singer. So then he goes on to say, I meant to say I'm not solely a hip hop
That's
artist. So
debatable.
to me, so to me, that showed me that he's trying to separate from his roots,
Mm-hmm.
because when you look at his old TikTok videos at his live shows, which I linked above, you see him embracing rap and hip hop culture. You are at, yeah, your song is melodic, you recorded it melodically, but when you're performing it, you're rapping.
Mm-hmm.
You're jumping around with a rapper, you're absorbing all of this energy, and then when you find your success, you want to make it clear, I'm not hip hop.
Okay,
And I
Okay.
think
gotcha.
too, where he's responding to the conversation around his album,
Mm,
and people's response to his album being on Apple Music, the number one R&B album. Then you had the R&B community coming out like, this ain't R&B.
because it ain't. It
So then it's
ain't.
like, so this not
And you
R&B.
know
Then what
what?
is it? Hip hop, and that's where he's responding. I'm not
I
hip
think
hop.
it's I think it's very important for what y'all was saying earlier. We need interviewers that we can trust to have real interviews so we can get to know artists in a way that they can tell us who they are and how we should categorize them, instead of hopping on Twitter and just saying some bogus shit like that because what you
No
mean.
offense, white people. I just want to put y'all in one box. I'm not gonna hold y'all because y'all make things so complicated in every goddamn field. I just want to put y'all all in one box. Whatever the category is white people. Whatever it is, put them over there. Let's focus on our, our own shit sometimes. Cause I can't deal with the whites sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I can't. I
Facts.
can't. But
Why is it up to us to like why it's always up to us to have to figure it out for them or accept, I don't even
yeah,
know.
it's just too much.
It's
It's too fucking much. It's too much.
No, I get it. It's just like, because to be honest with you, I didn't. I was one of those people where I definitely was shocked when he came out of nowhere. He was a surprise to me, and so when I hopped on TikTok, that's when the um not the devil is a lie. What? Because I actually like that one. The one before that. What was the one before that? Million Dollar Baby.
Yeah,
Million
man,
Dollar
baby.
Baby was going crazy on TikTok. And to be honest with you, I wasn't moved by it. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I
But
ain't never been the same, baby.
I was just like, okay. But
I
when he,
wasn't moved by it either until I
I,
heard it
w-
outside.
I, and that's the thing. The
And
one
the
that
energy, the build up behind it, it gives it a different kind of,
But the
yeah.
one that I heard outside that made me go, "Oh, was Devil is a Lie." That was the one that had me like, "Oh, when they go,
Cause you
Devil is
got
a
no
lie."
confidence.
This
Uh,
like
uh,
me,
uh.
like
I
yeah,
wasn't going for Devil's Alive. I'm not gonna hold you
Devil
there.
is a lie.
Me either.
He
I
had
wasn't
me
going
with Devil is
like
a lie.
it warmed up on me a little bit, but out the gate I'm like,
It's a good warm up set. I would say I would put it in my warm up crate.
it's a cool little warm up set.
Yeah.
It's hella straight. But the thing about him is though, and really rap as a whole now, everything is so fucking melodic, and everything is niggas are trying to flirt that line between, oh, I'm trying to sing, but I can't really sing, so I'm going to rap sing it because that'll get me over, and that's like acceptable. Because a lot of niggas who do melodic rap can't fucking sing, no vocals. It's all
I
spoken
do
word
see your
wisdom.
point there.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah, and
where
I
it
think another
gets.
problem with that though is then that shit gets dumped in the R&B, and the R&B community says it's
Yeah,
fire,
but niggas
and
in R&B have
it's
higher standards. Like call that
yeah,
what
but
it
a lot
is.
of them
What?
don't too though. A lot of them don't too though. I'm not about to sit here and act like the R&B is this upper echelon
Fair.
community where they think everything has to be taught. Like I think the real R&B lovers, yes.
I mean,
But
but
Ever
the
the thing,
R&B
chatty.
community as a whole, it been a lot of
yeah.
shit
Well,
that been sliding this year in particular. I'm not gonna speak on a lot of that shit, but a
ooh,
lot of that shit is not
Ooh, ooh,
R&B.
No, because
ooh.
ooh.
I was confused on why Usher brought him out on stage. But I'ma just
Yeah,
mind my
we talked about that a
motherfucking
little
business.
bit. That was
When he brought him out on stage for what? During his concert?
Yeah, like what? A day or two ago, he brought him out on
Oh, I
Wait,
think
stage.
was
I
that the same show Stevie popped up at?
Yes, I think
Yes, it,
so.
it was.
Oh,
Stevie
Yeah,
Wonder.
oh
he
no,
had Stevie and Tommy Richmond on the same
oh
stage.
no!
Stevie
It wasn't even
Wonder.
a day or so
Oh
later.
my god.
No, it was the same night.
See, we can't trust
Same
Oh,
night,
him.
same fight, but one of us had same
oh,
And
niggas,
Tommy
we, yeah.
Tommy Pickles and fucking well Stevie Wonder together on stage.
Tommy Pickle.
I
But
ain't,
what do
I
you
ain't,
guys think?
This is why we need better gatekeepers.
yeah.
Exactly. That's all I'm
That's
saying.
Mm,
crazy.
Again, we
But would
need
y'all
to
would y'all would
protect
y'all
the
care if it was
culture.
Justin Bieber?
Now look, you don't
Mm,
look,
If
listen. You
Usher
don't
ooh,
want
has
my
Usher got
Justin,
a
if
look at
Usher,
you
personal
y'all.
don't want my
relationship
Look
with.
opinion
at
on Bieber. And now
I
he
No,
want
got
to
no,
his
say
no, no.
this.
Hold
prerogative.
up. Time out. Time
Well,
out.
if
Time
Justin
out. Time
Bieber
out.
is
Two
performing
things.
something from the R&B album, then I
Two things.
don't.
Yeah,
Then
about to say
yeah,
two
Okay.
then
things.
Oh, we letting the
by all
Two
whites
things.
in.
means.
He has
Okay.
Justin Bieber and Usher have a relationship with one another.
Yep.
They've been, he came up under him.
I
That's number one.
understand the buyer.
Number
I
two,
just wanted to
Justin
hear
Bieber.
the opinion.
Yeah, and number two, Justin Bieber has come out and said, "Yo, I'm making an R&B album. This is R&B. This is not pop. I want to make R&B." And that therefore we can either accept it or not. He's never really played that line of "I'm too good for hip hop." You know what I'm saying?
True.
He's
Very
jumped on
true.
songs with Travis. He's
Yeah.
jumped on songs with Thug. He jumped on songs with Nas. Like he jumped on songs with Kanye. Like he's never really tried to shy away from that. That's the
But
difference.
also,
You know
you
what I'm
know
saying?
what?
Bieber, our
So,
white savior. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
okay,
Girl, you know
Because
relax,
Bieber been
what?
relax,
Bieber
relax.
been with hip hop.
We
A
about to mute my
believer.
line.
But that's the thing. That's the other thing about
And
it
I
though,
feel like
because
as we
again,
look at different
go
artists,
ahead, go ahead.
like we have to consider that where they place themselves in the culture matters, right?
Yes.
Like Justin Bieber has been collabing even with Kanye on Good Friday. He has that imprint and he honors that and he recognizes what that means to the culture and everything. So when I see a white boy just come out and just flat out be like, I'm not hip hop, I'm like, do you even know the roots of this subgenre that you're participating in?
True.
Because it's
Spit,
all hip
spit.
hop's children.
Mm-hmm. That's
But rap niggas
facts.
made
And
that cool for
that's
him
what
to
really
say.
pissed me off. Like they don't know the
Yeah.
Rap
history.
No,
niggas made that
absolutely right.
super cool for him to say. Cause that's all rap niggas like to do now is say they're not rappers and if they're not, they're bigger than hip hop. So
I mean, what
if we
about Lil
really want to
Yachty?
get
What about
into
Lil
it,
Yachty?
if we
I
really
mean,
want to get into it, let's
he
go to
said that
niggas
shit
who made
before.
it okay for that to be a thing. Niggas can just come out and say with their chest. And on one hand, if you are a white and you just, you around and you really don't feel that in your soul, all right, bet. But rap niggas, emphasis on niggas, have been making that
Okay, so you just
okay.
said not Yachty. Cool, got you.
I'm no, well,
Lil
I,
Yachty just said that to sell a whack. super whack album.
No, I think he believes that because everything he's done since then is him trying to stand on that statement, and it's all been questionable and dare I say ass in some regard. But before him, Uzi said it some time ago. Even older legacy niggas coming out and being like, I mean, whatever, like that shit is really weak. But niggas have laid the groundwork for somebody to come out and say with gusto, I am not hip hop. I am not a hip hop artist, this, that, and the third. And like I said, if that's what you truly believe and you've been standing on it and niggas have just miscategorized you, that's one thing. But the ground has been laid by actual rap niggas where all they fucking do is rap. If we being real, just because you start rapping over guitar don't mean you suddenly not a rapper, weak ass nigga. But the groundwork has been laid. So I can only get so even if that is the case and he's done a little flirting and towing on the line a little bit, I can only be so mad at the nigga because the niggas who's here and who are currently, I mean, technically they old guard now. Uzi is borderline old guard. It's getting there. It's giving veteran. It's giving slightly washed, just a smidgen. All them niggas said early, that's not, that's not what I am. That's not all that I am. And it's like, you could very much be this thing and still expand, but not only are you minimizing it, you shitting on it. And that's not necessary. So Tommy he look a little, look a little crazy. It'll blow over. He'll get back to doing whatever the fuck he want to do. Kids are gonna fuck with him, this, that, and the third. And it won't be a whole Post Malone thing because Post Malone made August 26th. Very good tape. Then made that album. And after that, started touching some of them number ones and was like, about the blacks, I just wowzers. I don't know if I can get next to that anymore. Not my thing. Not my thing. I got these Levi's on and I got this 10-gallon hat. I'm just gonna mosey on down the road. Like, so at least he's not giving niggas the runaround all after the fact. Because Post Malone also said some real weird shit about the genre too, and made that shit real small. So he ain't doing that. Everybody can't be Mac. I can't expect everybody to be Mac. He was a real nigga. But if you can at least know when to get ahead of the bullshit and say, hey, y'all, I know it's being said, but this ain't, no, that's not me. I'm cool with it. So whatever. And the album is all right. I like some things on the album. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to it, but it's cool.
I'll build off of that and say that I think he made, like, okay, a lot of artists, a lot of rappers, they go on to say mostly, I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And like Tommy said, he doesn't want to be boxed in because even he recognizes what happens to hip hop artists and to black artists. People don't want to be viewed as just a rapper. Like I feel Yachty and Kanye and a lot of Uzi, like they can do a wide range of things. So they want to kind of get out of that box. With Post Malone, I feel like he could have that White Iverson song could have been exactly what it was without the black cosplay, because like y'all saying, it wasn't really hip hop. If we really listened, and it was melodic enough just to be a pop record that we would have embraced, but he decided to put on the costume and he wanted to play that part. And then when he started getting called out for it, because just a few years prior to that he was in Daisy Dukes doing country folk music. You feel me? It's like when we start calling a spade, it's like we have to, like, I don't understand why black people, black Americans, the creators of this culture doesn't have a say. We can't create boundaries for people that's participating. They are creating subgenres off of our back and then don't want to give the culture credit. Um,
Cause we
yeah,
broke.
and also because we don't own it, right? Like that's the biggest problem. So for me, I think that the only solution to this reality that we're stuck in right now is to create the next genre. It is on us because we do it every time. Hip hop has been absorbed by the machine to the point where like R&B is a part of hip hop. They're doing K-pop. it's left the roots. It's gone so
Oh,
far.
they got everything.
It's
They are
gone
the
so,
dupes. Over
listen,
there,
like
they the dupes.
they are serious about that shit. So until we figure out what the next genre is, because the whole world is just creating the new genres off of our shit, whether it's house music, um hip hop, like everybody's just doing what we've already done. It's up to us to make some new shit, and that's just it.
Don't
Or
forget Latin, mi gente.
everywhere.
Reggaeton.
Emma Piano, like everywhere is, we have influenced everything. So if we're not doing anything new, or if we're not even approaching our art form with just basic principles, we're never going to get to a place where we're actually moving the culture forward, because it's being swallowed by corporate media right now.
I
That's a
mean, it's
fact.
stomach. It ain't being swallowed. That
I,
shit.
I feel like this always existed too. And then you got like Post Malone. There's another side to where a great artist story with 21 Savage and his career coming independent and having plaques and leverage and his one of his, I think, is it his biggest song is with Post Malone?
Yep.
So there's so many elements to this conversation. No lie.
Like, don't get it confused. Niggas still they eat off a buddy, and I mean that is what it is. You always gonna eat. Katy Perry, she another one. Niggas, she put out a call for niggas. They like, all right. I mean, well, shit. What's the money talking about? And Katy got some bread, so I'm like, hey, go work that because they need you, but they still need you. They can't take what you have. They can't truly replicate it one for one. They still need you. So as long as niggas still need you, you can make some out of that. But the true essence of the whole shit, I think when niggas got on that hip hop is dying, it's not number one shit, it shit kind of blew me because it's like you talking about a corporate structure and you talking about jobs being lost, which you don't want people losing their jobs because that, that fucking sucks. You got people to feed. But at the same time, that's not the whole of it. It's not the core of it. And there's a whole lot of shit going on. And if it's really that bad, there's so many people, so many names, and so many places that you can go touch on the shoulder, say, hey, I fuck with you, and start pushing it. But niggas don't want to do that because niggas is fucking lazy. And every time you even dare bring up, I mean, the underground, the mid ground, because underground is not truly a thing like it used to be. Underground right now, as they call it, is ran by white boys screaming into a microphone. I don't get it. Playboy Cardi knockoffs. But that middle ground, a lot of niggas who are black collar, blue collar, and working, still got jobs, still talk about their families, still trying to get it, still stunning you a little bit. They're making exciting music and very good music, but folk don't want to. Every time you say that, it's like, oh, we're not talking about that. Well, maybe you fucking should be, because that's what we have to get back to that. We're this close, I believe, this close to having another early 2000s run of cats who have something to say, can give you your hot radio song, but ultimately the core of their albums has a lot of substance behind it. And that can substance can mean anything, right? You can come from the streets, two-parent household, whatever. As long as you have something that is earnest and true to you, and you can talk about it, and you can talk about it well, you always have a place in rap. That's not going to go away. Once niggas start over prioritizing stream numbers in general, and people having jobs in places, because that's really what it is. It's a lot of niggas losing jobs that probably shouldn't have had them jobs in the first motherfucking place. Losing jobs, and now niggas want to panic because the access is different. And you can't go to the same places. You can't see the same people. You can't shake the same hands because your position got resolved and turned into some other shit. Those positions can come back open for real people if we put the time, the energy, and the finances behind it. Because as far as consumer base goes, black people are not the ones making the decisions no more. And that kind of sucks, but I mean, that's the nature of the beast. So with the buying power that we do have, niggas need to be the change they want to see. Go buy some vinyl, go buy some CDs, go to some shows, stream all the shit that you can, but more importantly, tell everybody you know about a hot nigga that you like, and keep that word of mouth going. That's how the blog era ended up happening and being what it was. I was having to talk to my niggas the other night about that on some blog era museum type shit. There are so many niggas from the blog era that have statues in that museum. They may not have exhibits like Kendrick and Drake and Cole. They may not have a whole wing roped off, but you have a sturdy statue. I don't know what the fuck going on with Bob right now, but during the blog era, the fuck you talking about? Nigga was untouchable for a minute, real Teflon. Now it's a little weird, but during the time that nigga's got a statue in the museum.
I ain't
So
gonna let y'all play B.O.B. like that. I'm gonna hit up his team. Like, no bullshit. They reached out to me for an interview, but I ain't know what to do with it.
I mean, well, I don't blame you because at this point, what do you do with a Bob interview? For real, for real.
Nah,
Because
but I'm gonna bring him on here. Y'all, maybe he needs
buddy,
people too.
buddy, do be wild a little bit. He be
Oh, then never
talking.
mind. We can't bring him on the
Yeah,
studio. I ain't gonna
he
count
be.
that.
I'm update you.
We
I'm
can't bring him
update
on.
you later because buddy got some. He got some thoughts and beliefs these days.
Nah, we can't bring
Bob
him on
got
the
on his
studio.
metaphysics shit. He was down with a master teacher that just passed away.
Yeah,
Mm.
So
he be
they
on. He
they was
be on
making some
some other
crazy
shit.
music though. So he probably do still got music.
The nigga,
So
once you learn how to rap, I still believe that genuinely you don't stop learning how to rap, or rather, you don't stop knowing how to rap once you hit a certain level,
All
which
right,
is
I'm gonna do the research for us. I'm gonna go see what he
yeah,
got going
please
on
do
over
because
there,
nigga
and I'm gonna
he
see what's
out
going on.
there doing what
I'm
he
gonna see
do.
what's
But the
going on.
nigga had Haley Williams features, the Bruno Mars shit. Like the nigga was up there. He was doing it all, and
he
then
actually spoke on this. He used to ride with this dude named Brother Panic. He was a metaphysics teacher, and he actually said like the industry just got so crazy, and he didn't want to walk through those doors. He could have been the biggest pop star in the world, but he decided not to walk through that door.
I respect
That's
it.
it.
Atlantic Records, look around the same time, but they were doing all their artists around that same time. Same thing, similar was going on with what happened with Lupe Fiasco back in the day. It was very same. Yeah, industry shit. Tori, you right? Like it was on some they was on some weirdo time, and niggas just wasn't going for it, and so their career suffered, and then then et cetera, et cetera.
And niggas do what they do. But yeah, rapping as a whole and this whole thing of gatekeeping, that still has to be a thing and there has to be like a standard line put back into place. But also niggas have to support full blown rapping. And I'm not talking, doing fucking lyrical miracle tricks and shit like that all the time because that's cool, but we already know sometimes it's a little too much. But when niggas got something to say and a nigga is rapping, not trying to sing, not trying to half sing, rapping because the melodic shit, I think, is too much of it now. It's too much. It's oversaturated, and the beauty that was in it before is kind of dulled out. You still got a nigga who can
I
do it
think
every
there's a
now and
lane
again.
for it. I just think the lane hasn't been defined, right? Like if you look at music programming right now, there is not specific programming dedicated to melodic rap, so it gets lumped into rapping and it kind of oversaturates everything else and then that's all we're really hearing because a lot of that stuff is leaking into the mainstream. So if they define a lane for that, then it opens up a lot of space for us to appreciate the rappers who are rapping.
Exactly, because they're like Ice Spice, um, Lil Uzi, and Kendrick Lamar should not be going up for the same award of rap. We need to define our subculture, our subgenres, and it needs to be respected because then that's where a lot of the confusion comes from, and that's why this battle was so important because we are of interest of this topic. We follow this culture. Most consumers do not follow the culture. They just consume what's ever being thrown out there. So they never really thought about the importance of a Kendrick Lamar outside of just his slaps. You feel me? And Drake, he got the biggest numbers, so he's the best rapper. They just accept whatever is happening. So I feel like this moment, we have to capitalize off of it by organizing a bit and just pushing a Sun said, like we have to be the change we want to see because we have the awareness right now that people did not have last year because there's no way anyone could have said any of this about Drake last year and it been received.
That's a
I mean,
fact.
you'd be the nigga from
Wait, can
2000
y'all?
and what
Wait, can
maybe
We
y'all
can hear
hear me?
you, Kia.
2011,
Oh,
2012 when it was like, what is Drake even on? Because even back then it was like he had them doubters, and after Best I Ever Had, I became one of them. But before that, I was a big Drake fan. And then that first album dropped, and I hear this nigga trying to sing, and he got Likely on the hook and shit. I'm just like, this is a thing. This about to be a thing, ain't it? And boy, oh boy, was it a fucking thing. So, and I think a lot of melodic rappers too. I think these niggas have bars in them because they have subject matter and they have the content to match it. They just got to figure out how to rap. Too many niggas get caught up in trying to sing because you can make the magic happen with the machine. And for some niggas, it's just smoothing out a little bit because the voice is already there. For other niggas, you are trying to do Herculean feats. Cut it the fuck out, nigga. Cut it out. You can't fucking sing, and it's okay. But you got a cool voice if you started rapping. You got a real shorty. He's from here. His voice naturally inclined to the melodic shit. He is not the greatest singer, but the nasal on that nigga makes him very unique, very distinct. And then on top of that, he adopted that West Coast shit and
The
put it.
nasal on that
Uh,
nigga.
the nasal on that nigga is very serious, very legitimate. But even when he was still rapping here, he was very one of one. Him and them Peso Mafia niggas, it was very one of one. So when he moved out and boomed the fuck out, made sense. But it's niggas that are trying to sing that have run of the mill voices, singing voices that could be easily made up for with learning some basic mechanics of wordplay and getting a good pen together. And look, and to bring it back to another blog era nigga who had a moment, Big Sean, my biggest issue with the nigga is he has his flashes and they're good. But there are thoughts on that last album where I'm like, damn, this seems really sincere. But you didn't flesh that shit out. You would give me one line about life being a little difficult, and you went straight back to money, bitches, hoes, and clothes. Like, you supposed to be better than this, my nigga. You're supposed to be better than this. And there are
I feel
so
like
many
we
niggas who
also
follow that formula.
I feel like we also have to consider a lot of what these young people, and when I say young people, I'm talking about anybody that's like 24 and under. Okay, what they grew up on is different than what we grew up on, right? My first favorite rapper was DMX, right? If you have a 21-year-old, 10 years ago, they was 11, they was listening to Future. They was listening to Uzis and Drake and this and that. So when it's their time to create, that's what they're resonating with. And we have to put better rap in front of their face. And
I agree.
that's also why I always liked Kendrick, because he's not too lyrical miracle to the point where you're kind of like having to zone in too much. Like sometimes I like J. Cole's music. I recognize its value when it's playing, but I don't go back and listen. That's just me. Like you have to be able to put in the fuckery with the philosophy. And I feel like Kendrick does that well, and that's why he grabs the younger people's attention.
Fuckery with the philosophy is like the best
Bars.
way to describe, I think, not
Bars.
only like rap, but also just like this year in total. Like
Cat
Yeah.
fuckery
Williams opened the
and
portal and
philosophy.
J. Cole fell through it.
Woo. That y'all spitting bars. Everybody podding tonight. I see what's going on around here.
The
Um,
fuckery
but I
and the
think
philosophy, the food and the liquor.
facts. But no, this was a great conversation. I truly enjoyed listening to everyone's perspective, and we always thank you guys for coming up here and fucking with us. We're going to continue this conversation because like we said, we ain't even get to the real meat and potatoes. We ain't even talk about Puff and his bullshit, Eric Adams and what the fuck he got going on over there. The media and music world is just falling apart. We ain't getting to a lot. People done died, child. Like it's just it's a lot going on. So look out for our next spaces. It might be on Sunday or it might be on Thursday, but just look out on the Reasonable Dialogue page for any updates on our spaces. Pod coming soon, so just look out for any updates on that. Stay tapped in with us. Follow Yan, myself, Milan. The page, the Reasonable Dialogue page is in all of our bios. Um, and yeah, we really just thank you guys for fucking with us. Like, we really just been trying to like build this from the ground up and like just build a community. That was most important to us above all. Like, it was like fuck the graph and fuck this. Da, da, da. Like, we just need to build a community. So if you're rocking with us, we rocking with you. Like, just know that we're in this for the long haul, and we're really building out something dope. That all the things that you guys are saying, about wanting journalists or wanting media outlets that really are doing something, like we're really trying to really provide y'all with something. So, you're rocking with us, we rocking with you. So Make sure you following, tapping in. We really appreciate all of y'all tapping in with us. And please look out for our next spaces. We're gonna do the part two to this conversation. And by that point, the Grammy nominations should be out. So then we should be doing our Grammy nominations convo. But yeah, sisters, y'all got anything to say before we wrap the fuck
Pow,
up?
pow, pow, pow.
I
Thank
just
you
want to
guys.
echo you. Like, thank you guys for joining. Like, this was such a great conversation. I feel like everybody has so much to say. Like I don't know if a lot of y'all joined the last one we did, but it was a little slow build. So it's just dope to see people continue to connect with us and want to see this thing grow. And offer up your insight and do it in such a genuine way to really add value to the conversation. So I really appreciate everybody in here. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. We appreciate y'all.
Yes, thank
All
you for
right.
having us. Me, it was such a great energy. Love it.
No, Tori,
Thank
you
you.
gotta come back to the apartment. You gotta come back and,
Right.
and
I
piggyback.
will. I for sure
You
will.
got you're welcome, girl. You
Yeah,
welcome.
come through. Just
Thank
knock on
you.
the door. We got blunts at the door.
I appreciate y'all having me, man. I really do. Y'all, it's love
Oh
in
no,
here.
We
Jeffrey, come
thank
back too.
you.
Yeah, you gotta come back and tap in with us. Come back and tap with us. Like I
This
said,
was
it's either
fire.
Sundays or Thursdays. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it, y'all. Just tap in with us,
Thank
follow us. We'll,
you.
tap in with y'all. You ain't got to
Go
go
home, but you gotta
home,
Home.
get the fuck out of here.
cause you
Yay,
gotta go.
y'all!
Crispy
I ain't fucking up this
chicken,
time.
fresh lettuce, dressing up. Crispy
Yay!
tortilla. Take me out. Crispy